So hey, what's up guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel Cosmic Harry, and today we are gonna see what if Harry Potter inherited the parcel tongue ability that he got from Slytherin that allows him to manipulate, control and build harem with any witches he want. So if you are new to this channel, please make sure to subscribe and like the video. Now without any further delay, let's get straight to the video.
The battlefield was frozen, not frozen in ice, frozen in time, frozen in narrative. Harry Potter walked through the carnage with his hands in his pockets, stepping over bodies that hadn't finished falling yet. A Death Eater hung suspended mid-curse, green light pooled at the tip of his wand like venom waiting to drop. 3 feet away, Neville Longbottom's younger face was locked in a scream, the sword of Gryffindor raised above his head, blade catching light that would never move. Harry stopped, looked at the scene, tilted his head. "No," he said to no one. "This is wrong." He reached out and touched the frozen green light. It rippled under his finger like the surface of a pond. The villain monologues for 6 more lines before Neville strikes. "You're rushing." Harry pulled his hand back and wiped it on his coat. The residue left behind smelled like copper and regret. "And your motivation is derivative. Revenge for your dead brother. That's 3 timelines ago. At least make it interesting." The Death Eater couldn't respond, couldn't hear him, couldn't know that his entire existence was a sentence in a story Harry had read 1,000 times. Harry sighed. He was tired, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. The kind of tired that settles into your bones after you've watched the same tragedy play out across infinite variations. The kind of tired that comes from knowing every ending before the story even begins. He snapped his fingers. The battlefield dissolved, not exploded, not crumbled, dissolved, like ink running off a page held underwater. The Death Eater's face stretched and smeared. Neville's scream became a dark stain spreading across nothing. The Hogwarts towers in the distance dripped downward into a void that had no bottom. Harry watched it go. Another draft, another failed narrative, another world that couldn't sustain itself because the plot had too many holes. "Shame about Neville," he muttered. He had potential in this version. But potential didn't matter. Nothing mattered except the pattern, the shape, the story. And this story was over. Harry turned and walked into the white space where the battlefield used to be. Each step took him further from the dissolved timeline and closer to the only place he could call home anymore. The library of the inn between materialized around him like a dream remembering itself. Shelves stretched upward into infinity, packed with books that hummed and whispered and occasionally screamed. The floor was polished obsidian that reflected nothing. The ceiling didn't exist. Harry had been coming here for centuries, or millennia. Time didn't work right for someone who existed outside of narrative causality. He might have been 25. He might have been 1,000. The distinction had stopped meaning anything a long time ago. He walked to his desk. A simple wooden thing, scarred and burned and coffee-stained. The only piece of furniture in the entire infinite library. His chair creaked when he sat down, and he found the sound comforting. Chairs weren't supposed to creak in a pocket dimension outside reality. He'd added that detail himself, because he missed the mundane things. A cup of tea appeared on the desk. Still steaming, he didn't question it anymore. Harry picked up the tea and took a sip. Earl Grey, a bit too much bergamot. He'd have to adjust the narrative parameters later. For now, he had work to do. He waved his hand, and a massive web of golden threads materialized in the air before him. Each thread was a story, a timeline, a universe. They pulsed with light and connected to each other in patterns so complex that mapping them would drive a normal person insane. Harry wasn't normal. Hadn't been for a very long time. He traced his finger along the threads, reading them like a blind man reads Braille. Here was the original timeline. The one where he'd grown up as the boy who lived, defeated Voldemort, married Ginny, had 3 kids, and died of old age surrounded by grandchildren. A nice ending, predictable. Here was the timeline where he'd become the master of death, and realized that the Hallows weren't just magical artifacts, but keys to something much larger. The moment he'd united them, he'd felt reality split open and show him its bones. The narrative structure underneath everything. That was when he'd stopped being Harry Potter and started being the story walker. He moved past familiar threads. The timeline where Hermione had been sorted into Slytherin. The one where Voldemort won. The one where magic never existed at all, and he'd grown up as a normal kid in Surrey, never knowing what he'd missed. Then he found it. A gap. Harry's hand stopped. His tea went cold. There was a hole in the web. Not a missing thread. A void. An absence where stories should exist but didn't. The threads around it were fraying, their light dimming, their hum turning into static. What the hell? Harry breathed. He leaned closer. The void seemed to pulse. No, not pulse, consume. It was eating the threads around it one by one, pulling them into nothing. Harry had seen dead timelines before. Collapsed narratives. Stories that ended badly and faded away. This was different. This was something actively destroying the web. Something that wasn't supposed to exist. He reached toward the void with his consciousness, trying to read what was there. Trying to see the script. Nothing. For the first time in centuries, Harry Potter encountered a story he couldn't read. The void expanded slightly. The threads nearest to it flickered and went dark. No, Harry said. He pulled his consciousness back. No, no, no. That's not possible. But it was happening. Right in front of him. Something was eating the multiverse. Harry stood up so fast his chair fell over. He didn't pick it up. He was already walking toward the shelves, his mind racing through possibilities. A narrative collapse of this scale couldn't happen naturally. Stories ended all the time, but they didn't leave voids. They left echoes, imprints, the ghost of what might have been. This was different. This was erasure. He grabbed a book from the nearest shelf. The cover was blank. He opened it, and the pages crumbled to ash in his hands. "Show me," Harry demanded. His voice echoed through the infinite library. "Show me where it started," the library responded. It always did. A single book flew from a distant shelf and landed on his desk with a thump that shook the obsidian floor. Harry approached it carefully. The cover was red, deep blood red, and on the spine, in letters that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them, was a single word. One day, Harry opened the book. The pages were full of chaos, words that rearranged themselves, sentences that contradicted the ones before them. A story trying to tell itself but failing, collapsing in on its own contradictions. He read fast, faster than any human could. The story walker's gift wasn't just knowing the plot. It was processing entire narratives in seconds, understanding the shape of a story the way a musician understands melody. Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, a woman born with the power to rewrite reality itself. Harry knew her story. He'd observed it from a distance. The experimentation, the powers. The brother lost. The children lost. A woman whose entire narrative was built on grief and destruction, whose magic didn't just change what was but what could be. She was a nexus being, a fixed point across multiple timelines. And right now, according to this book, she was at the edge of her story's end. Not death. Worse than death, she was about to unmake herself. And in doing so, unmake everything around her. Harry saw it now. The void wasn't consuming the multiverse randomly. It was spreading from her. From the place where her story had gotten stuck in an endless loop of tragedy, repeating the same beats over and over until the narrative itself had started to rot. The static, Harry realized. That's what this is. Narrative collapse. Story death. And it was spreading. He slammed the book shut. "I need to fix this." The words hung in the air. Harry looked at his hands. The same hands that had held a wand, held the hollows, held the strings of 1,000 stories. He could feel his power humming under his skin. The ability to edit, to rewrite, to make the universe follow the script he designed. But Wanda's magic was different. Her chaos didn't follow scripts. It burned them. Harry couldn't fight chaos with order. He'd tried that before, in other timelines with other reality warpers. The results were always catastrophic. His structured magic and their chaotic magic didn't cancel each other out. They exploded. Which meant he couldn't fix this alone. Which meant he had to do something he hadn't done in centuries. He had to recruit someone. Harry walked back to the web of threads. The void was larger now. He could see 3 more timelines flickering at its edges, their light going out one by one. He found the thread that led to Wanda's current location, Earth 1999, the MCU timeline as he'd privately labeled it. A universe where gods walked among mortals and magic was just another form of energy manipulation. Harry grabbed the thread and pulled. Reality bent around him. The library dissolved. The void disappeared. Everything went white, then gray, then dark, and then he was standing in a forest in the rain. The transition was jarring. It always was. Going from the library's timeless stillness to the chaos of an active narrative hit him like a bucket of cold water to the face. Harry actually gasped. His lungs burned with the shock of breathing real air again. Rain hammered down on him. Cold rain. The kind that soaks through your clothes in seconds and makes your bones ache. Thunder rolled somewhere in the distance. The sky was the color of old bruises, purple and gray and threatening. He was standing on a muddy path in the middle of nowhere. Trees surrounded him, their branches bare and skeletal. Dead leaves carpeted the ground in wet, brown clumps. And ahead, through the rain and the darkness, he could see a cabin, small, wooden, falling apart. The kind of place someone goes when they don't want to be found. Harry started walking. His shoes squelched in the mud. Water ran down his face and into his collar. He should have been miserable. Instead, he felt something he hadn't felt in a very long time. Uncertainty. He couldn't read this timeline clearly. The static was too close, interfering with his perception. He knew the broad strokes of Wanda's story, but the details were fuzzy, corrupted. Like trying to watch a video through heavy interference. He didn't know exactly what state she was in. Didn't know if she'd attack him on sight. Didn't know if she was even alive. The not knowing should have terrified him. Instead, it made him feel almost alive. Harry reached the cabin. The windows were dark. No smoke from the chimney. He could hear nothing from inside over the sound of the rain. He raised his hand to knock on the door. It exploded outward. Red energy slammed into Harry's chest and sent him flying backward. He hit a tree trunk hard enough to crack it. Pain lanced through his spine. Real pain. The kind that meant something. He slid down to the ground. Gasping, a figure emerged from the destroyed doorway. Wanda Maximoff. Her hands were wreathed in scarlet chaos magic. Her eyes glowed the same red. Her face was hollow, gaunt, the face of someone who hadn't slept or eaten properly in weeks. "Get away from me," she snarled. Harry coughed, tasted blood. That's not very hospitable. More red energy gathered around her hands. "I don't know who you are, I don't care. Leave, or I'll kill you." Harry pushed himself up against the tree. His back screamed in protest. He could feel at least 2 cracked ribs. The pain was clarifying. "You're not going to kill me," he said. "You don't know what I'm capable of." "Actually, I do." Harry met her glowing eyes. "I know everything about you, Wanda. I know about Pietro. I know about Vision. I know about Billy and Tommy. I know about Westview. I know about the Darkhold. I know what you did at Kamar Taj." Her face twisted. The red energy around her hands flared brighter. "How do you know those names? Who sent you?"
Scourdy, the sorcerers. No one sent me. I came on my own. Why?
Harry smiled. It hurt his face. "Because your story is broken. And if you don't let me help you fix it, the void you're creating is going to eat everything. Not just this world." Wanda's eyes narrowed. The energy didn't fade. "You're insane. Probably. But I'm also right." For a long moment, they stared at each other. Rain poured down. Thunder crashed. Harry's ribs ached. He could feel the static at the edges of his perception, growing closer, hungrier. "Give me one reason not to kill you," Wanda said. Harry took a breath. It hurt. "Because you're tired, Wanda. You're so tired of fighting, of losing, of being the monster everyone expects you to be. You've been stuck in this loop for so long that you've forgotten there's any other way." Her hands shook. The red energy flickered. "I'm not here to fight you," Harry continued. "I'm not here to stop you or judge you or punish you for what you've done. I'm here because I understand what it's like to be trapped in a story that only knows how to hurt you." Wanda's jaw tightened. "You don't know anything about me. I know that right now, in this moment. You're deciding between two options. You can kill me and go back to waiting for the end. Or you can hear me out and maybe, find something worth living for." The red energy dimmed slightly. Wanda's shoulders dropped a fraction of an inch. "Who are you?" she asked. Her voice was quieter now, still dangerous. But curious, Harry pushed himself fully upright. His back protested. He ignored it. "My name is Harry Potter. I'm what happens when someone reads too many stories and forgets how to be a character in one. I'm here to offer you something nobody else can." "And what's that?" Harry looked at her, at the grief carved into her face, at the chaos swirling around her hands, at the woman who had been broken and rebuilt and broken again by a narrative that refused to let her be happy. "A rewrite," he said. The rain kept falling. Wanda stared at him. Harry waited. And then, behind them both, the trees started to glitch. Harry spun around. His heart lurched. The forest was wrong. The trees at the edge of the clearing were flickering, their textures failing. Bark becoming wireframe, then static, then nothing. The ground beneath them was dissolving into white void. "What is that?" Wanda's voice was sharp, scared. "It followed me." Harry grabbed her arm. She tried to pull away. "Don't. We need to leave. Now. I'm not going anywhere with you. Then you'll die here. And so will everything else." The static spread faster. Harry could see it consuming the trees now, eating through the forest like acid through paper. The sound it made was wrong. A hissing, buzzing emptiness that hurt to hear. Wanda saw it too, her eyes widened. "That's not magic," she breathed. "No, it's the opposite of magic, the opposite of story. It's what happens when a narrative collapses so badly that it starts taking everything else with it. How do we stop it? We don't. Not here. Not now." Harry tightened his grip on her arm. "I can get us out. I can take us somewhere safe. But you have to trust me." Wanda looked at his hand on her arm, looked at the static eating the world, looked at Harry's face. "I don't trust anyone," she said. "I know." "Do it anyway." The static reached the cabin. The walls started to dissolve. The wood became pixels, became nothing. Wanda made a decision. She grabbed Harry's hand. "Go," she said. Harry didn't hesitate. He reached into the space between stories, found a thread that wasn't corrupted, and pulled. Reality tore open behind them. A doorway made of golden light leading somewhere else. Anywhere else. The static surged forward, hungry, reaching for them with tendrils of nothing. Harry threw himself and Wanda through the doorway. The last thing he saw was the void consuming the clearing where the cabin had been. The last thing he heard was the static's hiss, like a television tuned to a dead channel. Then the doorway closed, and they were gone. The transition between worlds was never smooth. Harry had done it thousands of times, and it still felt like being turned inside out and put back together wrong. His organs rearranged themselves. His thoughts scattered and reformed. His skin crawled with the sensation of being nowhere and everywhere at once. Wanda screamed. Harry didn't blame her. The first time was always the worst. Then they hit solid ground, and everything was real again. Harry landed on his back. Hard. His already cracked ribs objected violently. He groaned, rolled onto his side, and tried to remember how to breathe. Wanda landed more gracefully. Her chaos magic must have cushioned the fall. She was on her feet instantly, hands raised, energy swirling around her fingers. "Where are we?" she demanded. Harry coughed. "Safe house. Pocket dimension. The static can't reach us here." He pushed himself up slowly. His body was a symphony of pain. The tree impact, the ribs, the dimensional transition. He felt every year of the centuries he'd been alive. Wanda didn't lower her hands. Her eyes swept the area, taking in their surroundings. They were standing in a street. A cobblestone street, slick with recent rain. Gas lamps lined the sidewalks, casting pools of yellow light. The buildings on either side were Victorian, red brick and black iron with tall windows and steep roofs. It was quiet. Too quiet. No people, no sounds of life, just the lamps and the stones and the distant rumble of thunder. "This looks like London," Wanda said slowly. It was London. About 150 years ago. Harry limped toward the nearest building. "I keep it as a backup. A place to retreat when things go wrong. The narrative is stable here. Nothing changes, nothing decays, nothing lives," Wanda observed. "No, nothing lives." Harry reached the door and pushed it open. That's the trade-off. Inside was a flat, cozy in a sparse way. A fireplace with logs that would light on command. A small kitchen with supplies that never spoiled. A sitting room with 2 chairs and a couch. A bedroom through a door at the back. Harry collapsed into one of the chairs. The cushion sighed under his weight. Wanda stayed by the door. Her hands were still raised, though the energy had faded to a dim glow. "Start talking," she said. "What are you? What was that thing? And don't give me any more cryptic nonsense about stories and narratives." Harry laughed. It hurt. "Cryptic nonsense is all I have. But fine, I'll try to explain." He gestured at the other chair. "Sit down. This is going to take a while." Wanda didn't move. Harry sighed. "I'm not going to attack you. I can barely move. You saw what that tree did to my back." "I did that," Wanda pointed out. "Right. Thanks for that." Harry winced as he shifted position. "Look, I know you don't trust me. You have no reason to. But we just escaped something that's eating the multiverse. And I'd really like to explain what's happening before it catches up with us." Wanda hesitated. Harry could see her weighing the options. Stay on guard, keep her defenses up, or sit down and actually listen. She sat down. The red energy faded from her hands. She kept them in her lap, ready to summon it again at a moment's notice, but she was listening now. That was something. "Thank you," Harry said. "Don't thank me. Just talk." Harry took a breath. "Okay, the short version. I'm a being called a story walker. I exist outside the normal flow of narrative. I can see the structure of the multiverse, the way stories connect and influence each other. I can move between timelines. And, to a limited extent, I could them how? Change things. Small things, usually. Make sure a character who's supposed to survive actually survives. Remove a plot hole before it collapses a timeline. Adjust motivations so they make sense." Harry paused. "I'm like a proofreader. I fix mistakes." Wanda's expression was unreadable. "And the thing that attacked us. The static. It's the opposite of what I do. Instead of fixing stories, it destroys them. Erases them completely. Leaves nothing behind. Where did it come from?" Harry met her eyes. Wanda went still. "Not intentionally." Harry added quickly, "You're not doing it on purpose. But your story, it's broken, Wanda. It keeps repeating the same cycles of loss and grief and destruction. Over and over. And that repetition, that stagnation, it's creating a kind of rot in the narrative structure. The static feeds on that rot. It's been growing around your timeline for months. And now it's starting to spread." Wanda's hands clenched in her lap. "So you're saying this is my fault?" "I'm saying your story needs to change. If it doesn't, the static will keep growing until it consumes everything. And you want me to, what? Let you rewrite my life?" "Nope." Harry shook his head. "I can't rewrite you. Your magic is too chaotic. It burns through any structure I try to impose. That's actually why I need you." Wanda frowned. "I don't understand." The static is a void, an absence of story. My magic creates structure, order, narrative, but order alone can't fill a void. It just gets consumed. Harry leaned forward. Your magic is different. Chaos. Pure, unstructured potential. The power to make things that never existed before. To create without rules. I still don't see how that helps. Harry smiled. It was tired but genuine. If I try to fight the static alone, it'll eat me. My order against its void. But if we work together, your chaos and my order, we can create something new. Something the static can't predict or consume. Something that fills the void instead of just getting swallowed by it. Wanda was quiet for a long moment. Harry waited. Outside, the gas lamps flickered. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Why should I believe any of this? Wanda finally asked. You shouldn't, Harry admitted. I'm a stranger who appeared out of nowhere and dragged you into a pocket dimension. I could be lying. I could be manipulating you. I could be another enemy wearing a friendly face. Then why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of playing games. Harry's voice was heavy. I've been the story walker for centuries. I've watched countless timelines rise and fall. I've manipulated characters and orchestrated events and played the role of the distant puppet master. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of knowing how everything ends. I'm sick of being alone. He met her eyes. You're the first person in a very long time whose story I can't read. Your chaos makes you unpredictable. That terrifies me. And it also makes you the most interesting thing in the multiverse. Wanda stared at him. Harry stared back. You're either very clever, she said slowly, or very stupid, probably both. Another silence. The fire crackled. The rain tapped against the windows. I'll stay, Wanda said, for now. Until I understand what's really happening. Harry let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. That's all I'm asking. But if you're lying to me, Wanda continued, her voice hard, if this is some kind of trick or trap, I will unmake you. I will erase you from existence so completely that even your story walker friends won't remember you existed. Harry nodded. I don't have any story walker friends. But I understand. Wanda stood up. Where can I sleep? Bedrooms through that door. I'll take the couch. She walked toward the bedroom, then paused at the door.
Harry! Yes? Why me?
Out of everyone in the multiverse, why did you come to me? Harry considered the question. Considered the 100 strategic answers he could give. Considered the lies and half-truths and careful manipulations that had become second nature over the centuries. Then he decided to just tell the truth. Because you're stuck, he said, just like me. And I thought maybe two people who are stuck in their own terrible loops could help each other find a way out. Wanda didn't respond. She just looked at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she went into the bedroom and closed the door. Harry stared at the fire. The flames danced and flickered. Normal flames in a normal fireplace in a frozen pocket of a dead London. He had no idea what happened next. And for the first time in centuries, that felt like a gift. Harry woke up to the smell of something burning. He jerked upright on the couch, and his ribs immediately reminded him why that was a terrible idea. Pain shot through his side. He hissed through his teeth and pressed a hand to his chest. Right, the tree. Wanda's blast. The dimensional jump. His body was a mess. But something was still burning. Harry forced himself to stand. His back cracked in 3 places. His legs felt like they belonged to someone else. He shuffled toward the kitchen, following the smoke. Wanda was standing at the stove. She had a pan in one hand and a spatula in the other. The pan was on fire. Not metaphorically on fire. Actually on fire. Flames were licking up from whatever she'd been trying to cook, and smoke was billowing toward the ceiling. Harry said. Wanda turned around. Her face was covered in soot. Her hair was a mess. She looked like she'd been fighting the stove and losing. This kitchen is broken, she announced. The kitchen is fine. What were you trying to make? Eggs. Harry looked at the flaming pan. Those are not eggs anymore. I know that. Harry limped forward and took the pan from her hand. He set it in the sink and turned on the water. The flames died with an angry hiss. The eggs, or what used to be eggs, were now a blackened lump of carbon welded to the bottom of the pan. Ever cooked before? Harry asked. Wanda crossed her arms. I've been busy. With what? Destroying things. Grieving. Trying not to go insane. She paused. Not in that order. Harry turned off the water and looked at the ruined pan. It was beyond saving. He'd have to create a new one later. Sit down, he said. I'll make breakfast. You can barely stand. I can stand enough to crack eggs without setting them on fire. Wanda's jaw tightened. For a moment, Harry thought she was going to argue. Then she just sighed and sat down at the small table by the window. Fine. But if you collapse, I'm not carrying you. Noted. Harry moved around the kitchen slowly. Every motion hurt. His ribs were definitely cracked, maybe broken. His back felt like someone had taken a hammer to his spine. But the pain was grounding. Real. A reminder that he was still alive, still in a body. Still part of a story even if he usually stood outside of them. He found another pan in the cabinet. Found eggs in the icebox that never ran out. Found bread that was always fresh no matter how long it sat there. This place is strange, Wanda said from the table. It's a pocket dimension. The rules are different here. I mean the food. It doesn't feel real. Harry cracked an egg into the pan. It's real enough. It'll nourish you. Fill your stomach. Keep you alive. But it wasn't grown anywhere. It wasn't raised or harvested. It just exists because you want it to. Yes. That's disturbing. Harry smiled slightly. Wait until you see the bathroom. The water comes from nowhere and goes to nowhere. I try not to think about it too hard. He cooked in silence for a few minutes. The eggs sizzled, the bread toasted. The smell of actual food, not burned disaster, filled the small kitchen. Wanda watched him. Harry could feel her eyes on his back, assessing, analyzing, trying to figure out what kind of threat he was. You're hurt, she said finally. I noticed. Let me see. Harry turned around. What? Wanda stood up and walked toward him. Your ribs. Your back. You've been moving like a man twice your age since we got here. Let me see. I don't think that's neck. Sit down. Her voice left no room for argument. Harry sat down. Wanda moved behind him. He felt her hands on his shoulders, then pulling up the back of his shirt. The cold air hit his skin. This is bad, Wanda said. How bad? Your entire back is purple, and there's a lump on your spine that shouldn't be there. Harry winced. Probably a displaced vertebra. You've been walking around with a displaced vertebra. I've had worse. Wanda's hands pressed against his back. He felt warmth spreading from her fingers. Not the aggressive heat of her attack magic. Something gentler. Her chaos energy, but directed toward healing instead of destruction. What are you doing? Harry asked. Fixing you. Hold still. The warmth intensified. Harry felt something shift in his back. A grinding, popping sensation. He gritted his teeth. Then the pain eased. Not gone, but reduced. Manageable. Your ribs are cracked in 3 places. Wanda continued. I can seal them, but it'll hurt. Do it. She did. Harry grabbed the edge of the table and squeezed until his knuckles went white. The sensation was like being stabbed in reverse. Pain flooding into him, then receding, leaving something solid and whole in its place. When she finished, he was sweating, but he could breathe without agony for the first time since she'd blasted him. Thank you, he managed. Wanda sat down across from him. Her face was pale. The healing had cost her something. You're not fully healed, she said, just stabilized. You'll need rest. I know. But this helps. Harry stood up slowly. His back still ached, but it was a normal ache now. Not the screaming protest of broken bones. Let me finish breakfast. He went back to the stove. The eggs were slightly overdone, but salvageable. He divided them onto 2 plates, added the toast, and brought everything to the table. They ate in silence for a few minutes. The eggs were good. Simple, but good. Harry had forgotten how much he missed simple things. So Wanda said between bites, "Story Walker." "Yes? How does that work, exactly?" "You said you can see the structure of the multiverse." "What does that mean?" Harry set down his fork. "Imagine every universe, every timeline, every possible reality as a book. A story with characters and plots and themes. Now imagine you could read all of them at once. See how they connect. Understand the patterns. That sounds overwhelming. It was, at first. I spent years just trying to process it all. Every life, every death, every choice, playing out across infinite variations." Harry paused. "Eventually you learn to filter. Focus on the important threads. Ignore the noise." Wanda's eyes narrowed. "And you can change things, edit the stories, to a limited extent. I can't rewrite reality from scratch. That's more your department. But I can nudge things, make small changes that ripple outward." "Like what?" Harry thought about it. In one timeline, a boy was supposed to die in a car accident. He was going to grow up to cure a disease that would have killed millions. So I made sure his shoelace came untied that morning. He stopped to tie it. Missed the car by 3 seconds. Wanda stared at him. "You saved millions of lives by untying a shoelace." The multiverse is a chain of causality. Small changes can have massive effects, and the opposite. Small changes can cause massive damage. Harry met her eyes. "Yes. That's why I'm careful. That's why I mostly observe instead of interfere. One wrong edit can collapse an entire timeline." Wanda pushed her plate away. She'd only eaten half the eggs. "Is that what happened to me? Someone made a wrong edit." "No. Your story wasn't edited. It was neglected." "Abandoned?" Harry's voice was quiet. "Whoever wrote your narrative kept putting you through the same cycles. Loss after loss. Grief after grief. They never gave you a chance to heal or grow. Just kept breaking you and putting you back together so they could break you again." Wanda's hands clenched on the table. Red energy flickered around her fingers. "And that created the static," she said. "Partly. The static feeds on stagnant narratives. Stories that have stopped moving forward. Your timeline was stuck in a loop of trauma. That attracted it. So I'm what? A victim?" "No." Harry shook his head. "You're the one variable I can't predict. Your chaos magic disrupts the patterns I rely on. That makes you dangerous. It also makes you the only person who might be able to stop the static." Wanda's energy faded. She looked down at her hands. "I've been called dangerous before. Monster. Threat weapon." Her voice was flat. "No one's ever said it like you just did." "Like what?" "Like it was a compliment." Harry almost smiled. "In my experience, the most interesting people are usually the most dangerous ones. Predictable people make for boring stories." Wanda looked up at him. Something shifted in her expression. Not trust, not yet. But maybe the beginning of curiosity. "Tell me about yourself," she said. "Fair's fair. You know everything about me. I know nothing about you." Harry leaned back in his chair. "What do you want to know?" "Start with the basics. Where are you from? How did you become the story walker?" "I'm from a timeline not unlike yours. Magic exists, but it's hidden from the non-magical population. I grew up in a world of wizards and witches, dark lords and prophecies." Harry's voice took on a distant quality. "I was supposed to be the hero, the chosen one, destined to defeat the darkest wizard of my age." "Did you?" "Yes. I killed him when I was 17. Watched him die and felt nothing but relief that it was finally over." Wanda was quiet for a moment. "That's young to kill someone. It was kill or be killed. He'd already murdered my parents, my godfather, my mentor." Harry's jaw tightened. "I don't regret it. I just wish it hadn't been necessary." "What happened after?" "Peace. For a while. Had children. Grew old." Harry paused. "Then I died." Wanda blinked. "You died?" "In my original timeline, yes. Natural causes. Surrounded by family. It was a good death as deaths go." "Then how are you here?" Harry held up his hand. 3 faint symbols glowed on his palm. A line, a circle, a triangle. Before I died, I united 3 magical artifacts called the Deathly Hallows. Together, they made me the Master of Death. I thought that was just a title, a metaphor. His hand dropped. It wasn't. When I died, instead of moving on, I woke up in the library. I could see all the threads of the multiverse laid out before me. I understood, finally, what I had become. The story walker? Yes. I'd been writing my own narrative without knowing it. Every choice I made, every enemy I defeated, it was all building toward this. Toward becoming something outside the normal rules. Wanda absorbed this. Her face was thoughtful. "How long have you been like this?" she asked. "I don't know exactly. Time doesn't work the same way for me. Centuries, at least. Maybe millennia. And in all that time, you've been alone." Harry's expression flickered. Just for a moment. "Not always. I've met other beings who exist outside normal reality. Gods, cosmic entities, things that don't have names. But none of them," he trailed off. "None of them what?" "None of them were people anymore. They'd lost whatever made them human, become abstractions, concepts." Harry's voice was quiet. "I've been fighting to hold on to my humanity for a very long time. Some days I'm not sure if I'm winning." Wanda was silent for a long moment. The fire crackled in the other room. Rain tapped against the windows. "In Westview," she said finally, "I created a whole town. Thousands of people, living their lives, thinking they were real. I made them happy, because I needed to believe I could still have happiness." Harry listened without interrupting. "And then I found out I was hurting them, trapping them in my fantasy, so I let it go. I let my children go, my husband, everything I'd built." Wanda's voice cracked slightly. "And I hated myself for it, for all of it, for being so broken that I'd hurt innocent people just to feel less alone." "You were grieving," Harry said. "That's not an excuse. No, it's not. But it's an explanation." Harry leaned forward. "You made a mistake, a terrible one, and then you chose to undo it, even though it cost you everything you loved. That's not what a monster does." Wanda's eyes were wet. She blinked, and a single tear rolled down her cheek. She wiped it away angrily. "I don't want your absolution," she said. "I'm not offering it. I'm just telling you what I see." "And what do you see?" Harry considered the question carefully. "I see someone who has been used and manipulated and broken by forces beyond her control. I see someone who has done terrible things and knows it, and carries that weight every day. I see someone who is tired of being a weapon and wants to be a person again." He paused. "I see someone a lot like me." Wanda stared at him. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then she laughed. It was a strange sound. Rusty, like she hadn't used it in a long time. "You're very strange," she said. "I've been told. Most people are afraid of me. I'm not most people." Wanda wiped her eyes again. "No. You're not." She stood up and gathered the plates, started washing them in the sink. Harry watched her, surprised. "You don't have to do that," he said. "The dishes clean themselves if you leave them long enough." "I want to do it." Wanda scrubbed at a plate with more force than necessary. "It's normal." "I miss normal." Harry understood. He got up and found a towel, started drying the dishes as she washed them. They worked in silence, side by side. Two broken gods doing something mundane and human. It felt strange. It felt right. After the dishes were done, Harry made tea. Wanda sat by the window and watched the empty street outside. The gas lamps had dimmed slightly, simulating the passage of time even though real time didn't exist here. "What happens now?" she asked. Harry handed her a cup. "We need information. The static is spreading, but I don't know how fast or where it'll strike next. There's a place we can go. A neutral zone where magical beings from different timelines trade and exchange information. A market. Of sorts. It exists in the spaces between worlds. The static shouldn't be able to reach it. At least not yet." Wanda sipped her tea. "And you think we'll find answers there?" "I think we'll find a starting point. Someone who knows something. Or someone who knows something. That's not very reassuring. Harry shrugged. I'm working with incomplete information. My omniscience doesn't extend to the static. It's like a blind spot in my vision, because it's the opposite of what you are. Exactly. Wanda set down her cup. When do we leave? Soon. An hour or two. I want to make sure you're rested and my ribs are stable. Your ribs are fine. I healed them. You stabilized them. There's a difference. Wanda rolled her eyes. Men always think they know their own bodies better than the person who just put them back together. Harry almost smiled. Fine. We'll leave when you're ready? I'm ready now. Then we'll leave now. Harry walked to the center of the room. He held out his hand, and a doorway of golden light materialized in front of him. Through it, Wanda could see glimpses of something vast and chaotic, colors that didn't exist in normal reality, shapes that hurt to look at directly. Stay close, Harry said. The space between worlds can be disorienting. Wanda stood beside him, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. I've walked between realities before, she said. Not like this. My way is different. Less violent. Less violent sounds good. Harry stepped through the doorway. Wanda followed. The transition was gentler than before. No inside-out sensation. No organ rearrangement. Just a feeling of falling sideways, of sliding through spaces that weren't quite real. Then they were somewhere else. The first thing Wanda noticed was the noise. After the dead silence of the Victorian safe house, the sudden explosion of sound was almost painful. Voices in 100 languages. Music from instruments she didn't recognize. The clatter and crash of commerce. The second thing she noticed was the sky. It was wrong. Not blue or gray or black, it was purple. Deep, bruised purple, shot through with veins of gold that pulsed like a heartbeat. They were standing on a street. But it wasn't like any street she'd ever seen. Buildings rose on either side, but they were made of materials that shouldn't exist. Crystal that sang, metal that breathed, wood that whispered secrets, and the people. Gods, the people. Creatures of every shape and size moved through the market. Humanoids with too many limbs, beings made of pure light, things that looked like shadows given form, and scattered among them, ordinary humans, or at least beings that looked human. Welcome to the crossroads, Harry said. Try not to stare. Wanda stared anyway. What is this place? A nexus point. A place where the barriers between realities are thin enough that beings from different timelines can meet and trade. Harry started walking. There are rules here. No violence. No theft. No deals that can't be honored. Break the rules and the crossroads itself will eject you. Painfully, Wanda followed him, her head swiveling to take in the impossible sights. A vendor was selling bottled emotions. Another was trading in memories. A third had a cart full of what looked like crystallized time. This is insane, she breathed. This is the multiverse. Insanity is relative. They moved deeper into the market. Harry seemed to know where he was going, navigating the twisted streets with practiced ease. Wanda stayed close, her hands ready to summon her magic if needed. Where are we going? She asked. There's an information broker I know. He deals in secrets and futures. If anyone knows about the static, can we trust him? Absolutely not. But we can trust that he'll tell us the truth if we pay his price. They turned a corner and found themselves in a quieter section of the market. The stalls here were less flashy, more discreet. The beings who ran them had the look of professionals. People who dealt in serious business. Harry stopped in front of a small shop. The sign above the door was blank. The windows were dark. "Wait here," he said. "I don't think so." Harry turned to look at her. The broker doesn't like surprises. If I bring you in without warning, he might not talk to us at all. Then warn him. Wanda, I'm not standing outside like some kind of sidekick. Her voice was firm. We're supposed to be partners, aren't we? That means we do this together. Harry considered arguing. Then he just sighed. Fine. And try not to destroy anything. No promises. They entered the shop together. Inside was dark, not empty dark, full dark. The kind of darkness that felt alive, that pressed against your skin and whispered in your ear. "Harry Potter," a voice said from somewhere in the blackness. "The story walker graces my humble establishment. And he brings a guest." "I need information," Harry said, "about a threat to the multiverse. Information is expensive. I can pay." A light flickered on. A single candle floating in the center of the room. It illuminated a figure sitting behind a desk. The figure was humanoid, but wrong. Too thin. Two pale eyes that were entirely black, no whites, no pupils. "The Scarlet Witch," the figure said, its gaze moving to Wanda. "I've heard stories about you. They say you broke a god's servant and stole his power." Wanda's hands twitched. "I did what I had to do." "They all say that." The figure smiled. It had too many teeth. "Sit, both of you. Let's discuss what you want and what you're willing to trade for it." Harry sat. After a moment, Wanda sat too. "There's something eating the multiverse," Harry said. "A void. A static. It's spreading from timeline to timeline, erasing everything it touches." The figure's smile faded. "Ah, that? You know about it. I know many things. That's why people come to me." The figure leaned forward. "What you're describing has many names. The static, the void, the unmaker. It is the end of all stories. The silence after the last word. Where did it come from? From everywhere. From nowhere. It has always existed, in the spaces between narratives. Usually it is dormant, sleeping. But something has awakened it." Harry glanced at Wanda. She kept her face neutral. "How do we stop it?" Harry asked. "You don't." The figure's black eyes gleamed. "The static cannot be destroyed. It cannot be defeated. It is the absence of existence itself. Fighting it is like fighting the dark by punching shadows. There has to be a way. There is one possibility." The figure paused. "But the price for that information is high." "Name it." "A memory. A significant one. Something that made you who you are." Wanda tensed. Harry held up a hand. "Which memory?" he asked. "Your choice. But it must be real. It must matter. I can taste the weight of memories. Story walker. Try to cheat me, and our deal is void." Harry closed his eyes. Wanda watched him, her heart beating faster. What memory could possibly be worth this? Harry opened his eyes. Agreed. He reached into his own mind, found a memory, pulled it out like a thread from a tapestry. Wanda saw it. A flash of image and emotion. A woman with red hair and green eyes. A smile. A voice saying, "I love you." Then it was gone. Transferred to the broker, leaving a gap in Harry's mind where something precious used to be. Harry's face was blank, but his hands were shaking. "The memory of your mother's voice," the broker said, satisfaction in his tone. "A worthy price." "Very well. Here is what you want to know." He leaned forward. "The static can be contained. Not destroyed, but bound. Compressed into a form that cannot spread. To do this, you need two things. Order and chaos. Structure and potential. One to create a vessel, one to fill it." His black eyes moved between Harry and Wanda. "You already have both. The question is whether you can work together without destroying each other." "That's it?" Wanda demanded. "We just combine our powers and the static goes away." "Nothing goes away. Everything is contained. The static will still exist. It will still hunger, but it will be trapped, unable to spread, unable to consume." The broker stood. "The real question is who will be the vessel. Someone must hold the static within themselves, carry it for eternity, become its prison." The words hung in the air. Harry and Wanda looked at each other. "Thank you," Harry said to the broker. "We'll find our own way out." "I'm sure you will." "Good luck, Story Walker." Scarlet Witch. They left the shop. The market noise rushed back in, but it felt distant now. Muted. "Harry?" Wanda said. "The memory you gave him. Your mother's voice." "Don't." Harry's voice was tight. "It's done." "But I?" said Don't. He kept walking. Faster now. Order and chaos. We can make this work? Wanda caught his arm. He stopped but didn't turn around. You didn't have to do that? She said. Give up something so important. Yes, I did. The information was worth it. Was it? Harry finally turned. His face was composed, but his eyes were wet. My mother died when I was a baby. I never really knew her. All I had were fragments, pieces of memory, and now I have one less. He took a breath. But I've been holding on to ghosts for centuries. Maybe it's time to let some of them go. Wanda didn't know what to say, so she just squeezed his arm and let go. They walked in silence for a while. The market swirled around them, oblivious to their pain. Then Wanda stopped. Something's wrong, she said. Harry looked around. At first, he didn't see it. The market looked normal, crowded, chaotic. But then he noticed the shopkeeper across the street. A humanoid woman with blue skin and silver hair. She was frozen mid-gesture, her mouth open, her hand reaching for something on her shelf. And she was repeating the same gesture, the same expression, over and over, like a video stuck on a loop. It's here, Harry breathed. More figures were freezing, glitching, their movements becoming stuttered and repetitive. The music from somewhere down the street hit a single note and held it, the same sound stretching into infinity. The crossroads was supposed to be safe, Wanda said. It was. The static is getting stronger. Harry grabbed her hand. We need to leave. They started running. The market was collapsing around them. Stalls flickered and dissolved. Vendors became wireframes, then nothing. The purple sky above them cracked like glass, revealing white void beneath.
This way.
Harry pulled Wanda down a side street. Figures stumbled toward them. Not alive, not dead, glitch, zombies, beings caught halfway between existence and void. Their faces were blank. Their eyes were static, and they moved with the jerky, broken animation of corrupted data. Harry! He saw them. 3 of them, blocking the path ahead. More behind. Together, he said. Wanda's hands erupted with red energy. Harry's hands glowed green. The power of death, the remnant of the hollows, the energy of endings and transitions. The first glitch, zombie lunged. Wanda caught it with a wave of chaos. Reality bent around the creature, twisting it, compressing it, until it collapsed into a point of nothing and vanished. 2 more came from the left. Harry gestured. Green light flowed from his palm, not as an attack but as an edit. He rewrote the ground beneath the creature's feet, made it never exist, and they fell into a gap in reality that sealed itself behind them. More were coming. Dozens now. The whole market was turning. We can't fight them all, Wanda shouted. We don't have to. Just give me 10 seconds. Harry focused, reached for the threads of reality, tried to find a path out, a doorway to somewhere else. Wanda covered him. Her chaos magic flared in waves, pushing back the glitch, zombies, buying him time. She was a storm of red destruction, beautiful and terrifying. 5 seconds. A glitch zombie broke through her defenses, reached for Harry. Wanda screamed and blasted it point blank. The thing exploded into static and noise. 8 seconds. Harry found a thread, a weak one, barely stable but enough. 10 seconds. Got it! Hold on! He grabbed Wanda and pulled. The golden doorway opened behind them. They fell through just as the market collapsed entirely, swallowed by the white void of the static. They landed hard on grass. Real grass. Green and damp and smelling like earth. Harry lay on his back, gasping. Wanda was beside him, equally winded. Where are we? She managed. Harry looked up at the sky. Blue. Normal blue. With clouds. And a sun. I don't know. I grabbed the first stable thread I could find. We're somewhere safe, at least for now. He sat up slowly. They were in a field. A meadow, really. Wildflowers swayed in a gentle breeze. In the distance he could see the edge of a forest. And standing at that edge, watching them, was a figure. Red hair. Freckles. Tall and gangly. Wearing robes that were torn and burned. Harry's heart stopped. Ron. The figure limped toward them. As he got closer, Harry could see the damage more clearly. Ron Weasley, or a version of him, looked like he'd been through hell. His face was gaunt. His eyes were haunted. And there was something wrong with the way he moved. A flicker. A stutter. Like he wasn't quite real. Ron's voice cracked. "Is that really you?" Harry stood up. Wanda stood with him, her hands ready. "Ron, what happened to you? What timeline are you from?" Ron stopped a few feet away. He was shaking. "It's gone," he whispered. "Everything's gone. The static took it. Hogwarts. The Ministry. Hermione." His voice broke on the last name. "They're all gone. I barely got out." Harry stepped forward. "Ron, I've been running for weeks, jumping between dead worlds, looking for something, anything, that was still alive." Ron looked at Harry with desperate, wild eyes. "And then I felt you, your magic. I followed it here." Wanda moved beside Harry. "Can we trust him?" Ron's gaze shifted to her. "Who's this?" "Hey, friend."
An ally?
Harry was still processing. "Ron, here, from a destroyed timeline." "Ron, I'm so sorry. I didn't know the static had already taken so much." "It's taking everything, mate?" Ron's laugh was hollow. "Everything and everyone. There's nothing left." He swayed, almost fell. Harry caught him. "Easy. You're safe now. We're going to figure this out." Ron gripped Harry's arms. His eyes were bloodshot. And for just a moment, just a fraction of a second, Harry saw something flicker in them. Something that looked like static. Then it was gone. "Thank you," Ron said. "I knew you'd help. You always help." Harry met Wanda's eyes over Ron's shoulder. She'd seen it too. The flicker, the wrongness. But what could they do? This was Ron. Or at least, a version of Ron. A survivor, a victim. They couldn't turn him away. "Come on," Harry said. "Let's find shelter. We'll figure out our next move together." Ron nodded weakly. Let Harry support his weight. Wanda walked on Harry's other side, close enough to whisper. "I don't like this?" "Neither do I." "Then why are we helping him?" Harry didn't have a good answer. Maybe because Ron had been his best friend once. Maybe because he couldn't leave someone alone in the void. Maybe because he wanted to believe that not everything was corrupted yet. Or maybe because he couldn't read Ron's story anymore, and that scared him more than anything else. They walked toward the forest. 3 figures against the failing light. Behind them, the sky began to flicker. The cabin they found at the edge of the forest wasn't much. 4 walls. A roof that leaked in 3 places, and furniture that looked like it would collapse if you breathed on it wrong. But it was shelter, and right now, that was enough. Harry helped Ron onto a moth-eaten couch. The redhead groaned as he settled into the cushions, his face pale and sweating. "When did you last eat?" Harry asked. "Don't know." "Days, maybe." Ron's eyes were closed. Hard to keep track when you're running from the end of the world. Wanda stood by the door, arms crossed, watching. She hadn't said anything since they'd entered the cabin. Her silence was louder than words. Harry found some supplies in his coat. Emergency rations he kept for situations like this. Bread that never went stale. Water that never ran out. He handed them to Ron. "Eat. Slowly. You'll make yourself sick otherwise." Ron took the bread with shaking hands. "Cheers, mate." He ate. Harry watched him. Wanda watched them both. The silence stretched. "So," Ron said between bites, "who's the bird?" "Wanda Maximoff. She's helping me deal with the static." "The Scarlet Witch." Ron's eyebrows rose. "Bloody hell. Moving up in the world, aren't you?" "Who met recently." "She's essential to stopping what's happening." Right. Ron nodded, chewing. "And what exactly is happening? I mean, I know the static's eating everything. But where'd it come from? How do we kill it?" Harry glanced at Wanda. She gave a slight shake of her head. "Don't tell him everything." "We're still working that out," Harry said carefully. "There's a place we need to go. A source point. If we can find it, we might be able to contain the static before it spreads further. Contain it, not destroy it. The static can't be destroyed. Only bound." Ron finished the bread, drank some water. Color was slowly returning to his face, though he still looked like death warmed over. Then let's go, he said. I'm with you, whatever it takes. You need rest first. Rest? Ron laughed bitterly. Harry, I've been resting for weeks. Hiding. Running, I'm done with that. I want to fight back. Harry studied his old friend's face. The desperation there, the anger, the grief. And underneath it all, that flicker he'd seen before, the wrongness that Wanda had noticed too. Tomorrow, Harry said. We leave tomorrow. Tonight, we rest, all of us. Ron wanted to argue. Harry could see it in the set of his jaw. But exhaustion won out. Fine. Tomorrow. Ron lay back on the couch. Weck me if the world ends before breakfast. Within minutes, he was asleep. Or at least, he appeared to be asleep. His breathing evened out. His body relaxed. Harry stood and moved to where Wanda waited by the door. Outside, she murmured. They stepped out of the cabin. The night air was cool and clean. Stars wheeled overhead, unfamiliar constellations from an unfamiliar timeline. There's something wrong with him, Wanda said as soon as the door closed. I know. That flicker in his eyes. It looked like static. I saw it too. Wanda turned to face him fully. Then why are we helping him? Why are we taking him with us? Harry ran a hand through his hair. Because he's Ron, or a version of Ron, my best friend for 7 years. The person who stood beside me through everything. That was your Ron. This is a different one. From a different timeline. Does that matter? It matters if he's been compromised by the thing we're trying to stop. Harry didn't have an answer for that. She was right. He knew she was right. But the thought of abandoning Ron, any Ron, felt like cutting off a piece of himself. I can't read him, Harry admitted. His story, his narrative, it's all static. I can't see what he's thinking or what he's going to do. Which means he could be dangerous. Or it means the static has damaged him so badly that his narrative is corrupted. He might be a victim, Wanda, not an enemy. Wanda's expression softened slightly. You want to save him? I want to try. And if he can't be saved, Harry was quiet for a long moment. Then I'll do what needs to be done. They stood in silence. The wind rustled through the trees. Somewhere in the distance, an owl hooted. I don't trust him, Wanda said finally. I'm not asking you to. Just give me a chance to figure out what's really going on. And if he attacks us, then we stop him. Together. Wanda nodded slowly. Together. I can work with that. They went back inside. Ron was still sleeping, or pretending to sleep. Harry took the first watch. Wanda lay down on a rickety bed in the corner, her back to the wall, her hands visible. Neither of them fully relaxed. The night passed slowly. Morning came gray and cold. Mist hung over the meadow outside, turning the world into a watercolor painting of vague shapes and muted colors. Ron woke hungry. Harry gave him more food. They ate in near silence, the tension thick enough to taste. So, Ron said, wiping his mouth. This source point, where is it? It's called the Graveyard of Stories. Harry stood and moved to the window. A liminal space where dead narratives go. Plot points that were abandoned. Characters that were never finished. If the static has a heart, that's where we'll find it. Sounds cheerful. It's not. The graveyard is dangerous even without the static. The things that exist there are fragments, echoes. They're not fully real, but they're not fully unreal either. How do we get there? Harry turned to face both of them. I can open a path, but once we're inside, my abilities will be limited. The graveyard exists outside normal narrative structure. My story walker powers don't work properly there. Wanda stood up from her bed. Will my chaos magic work? Better than my order magic, probably. Chaos thrives in undefined spaces. Then I'll cover us. Ron got to his feet. He was steadier now, stronger. The food and rest had helped, but Harry still couldn't read him. Still couldn't see past the static that surrounded his story. I don't have fancy powers, Ron said. But I've got a wand and 7 years of practice. I can hold my own. Harry nodded. I know you can. Stay close. Both of you. The graveyard will try to separate us. It feeds on isolation. He moved to the center of the cabin. held out his hands, focused. This was different from his usual dimensional travel. Normally he followed threads, found pathways between stories. But the graveyard wasn't connected to anything. It existed in the margins, the white space between words. Harry reached not for a thread but for an absence, a gap, the place where stories went to die. He found it. Reality tore open in front of them. Not a golden doorway this time. A wound. A ragged tear in the fabric of existence, edges flickering with colors that hurt to look at. "That's our way in." Ron's voice was tight. "That's it. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant." Harry stepped forward. "Stay close." He walked into the tear. Wanda followed. After a moment's hesitation, Ron came too. The graveyard of stories was worse than Harry remembered. He'd been here before, centuries ago. Back then, it had been sad. A melancholy place of faded potential and forgotten dreams. Now it was rotting. The landscape stretched in every direction, without horizon or boundary. The ground was made of pages. Millions of pages, torn and yellowed and stacked in uneven piles that shifted underfoot. The sky was the color of old ink, gray, black, and swirling, and everywhere fragments. Half-formed characters wandered aimlessly. A knight with no face. A princess whose body faded in and out of visibility. A dragon that was nothing but bones and smoke. They moved without purpose, repeating the same motions over and over. "What are they?" Wanda whispered. "Abandoned ideas. Characters who were started but never finished. They exist here in a state of perpetual incompletion." Ron kicked at a pile of pages. They scattered, revealing words that rearranged themselves as he watched. "This is sick," he muttered. "It's like a mass grave for imagination." "It's exactly that." Harry started walking. The source should be at the center, where the oldest discarded stories rest. They moved through the graveyard in a loose formation. Harry in front, Wanda beside him, Ron bringing up the rear. The fragments ignored them for the most part, too lost in their loops to notice intruders. But Harry felt watched. Something here was aware of them, something that was waiting. "Harry!" Wanda's voice was low. "Look at the sky." He looked up. The swirling ink-colored clouds were moving differently now, forming patterns, words. "Welcome, Badasea Sturawa." Harry's blood went cold. He said. More words formed. "Yo Briang Intiartic Ampiitites Tm Thitchiw Tos Buran Subts. Wayants to be a hero." Ron made a strangled sound. "It's talking about us. Say hell I tell te eashir sturis. Sal I sabu tmem havu te. Don't listen," Harry said sharply. "The static lies, it manipulates. Whatever it shows you, whatever it says. Boti I dodli harawai. I sampla. I sabo po peladabu herikasai pelabu b mit." Wanda's hands crackled with red energy. "Where's the source? Where are you hiding, Heidi?" "I'm Everibu Echiar. I'm Teachus Pais Bupu, you are War Dis. You are Stora AZND. I'm Tiachitriacho, Billion Ranime Jefram Shinzi, you learned. Ignore it." Harry kept walking faster now. We need to reach the center. The ground shifted beneath them. Pages flew up in a whirlwind, revealing a path that hadn't been there before. An invitation. A trap. They had no choice but to follow. The path led downward, into a depression in the landscape. The pages here were older, more fragile. They crumbled at the slightest touch, releasing whispers of half-remembered dialogue. And at the bottom of the depression, they found it. The core, it looked like a wound in reality. A vertical gash, maybe 10 feet tall, that pulsed with anti-light, not darkness. Something worse than darkness, an absence of existence itself. "That's it," Harry breathed. "That's where the static comes from. It's beautiful." Ron's voice was strange, distant. Harry turned to look at him. Ron was staring at the core with an expression Harry didn't recognize. Hunger. Longing? "Ron? Don't you see it?" "Harry?" Ron took a step toward the core. "It's peace, it's freedom. No more pain, no more loss. No more being second best." Ron stopped. "That's the static talking." "No, it's me talking." Ron's eyes were wet. "I watched Hermione die, Harry." watched her dissolve into nothing, while I couldn't do anything to save her. I held her hand and felt it turn to static in my grip. Harry's heart clenched. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But this isn't the answer. You don't understand. You can't understand. Ron laughed. It was an ugly sound. You're the story walker, the master of narratives. You get to decide how stories end. But what about the rest of us? What about the characters who are just along for the ride? Ron, please. Do you know what my role is, Harry? Ron turned to face him. His eyes flickered with static. In every timeline, every version, every story, I'm the sidekick, the comic relief, the loyal friend who stands in your shadow and never complains. That's all I'm ever allowed to be. Wanda moved to Harry's side. Her hands were raised. Ready? That's not true, Harry said. You're more than that. You've always been more than that. Have I? Ron shook his head. The static showed me the scripts, Harry. All of them. Every version of our story. And in every single one I'm a footnote. A supporting character in the legend of Harry Potter. Ron, whatever the static showed you, it was manipulating you, twisting the truth to what? Make me see reality? Ron's voice rose. I'm tired of being edited, Harry. Tired of being the character you need me to be instead of the person I want to be. The core pulsed behind him. The static in his eyes spread, flickering across his face like a glitch in a video. The static offered me something no one else ever has, Ron said. A chance to be the protagonist. To write my own story. All I have to do is one thing. Harry's stomach dropped. What thing? Ron raised his wand. Stop you. The spell hit Harry before he could react. Not a killing curse, something worse. Something that felt like having his eyes ripped out while his brain was set on fire. Harry screamed, collapsed to his knees. The world around him went dark. No, not dark, empty. His omniscience was gone. For the first time in centuries, Harry Potter couldn't see the future, couldn't read the script, couldn't understand the pattern of the story he was in. He was blind. Harry, Wanda's voice, somewhere to his left. He heard the crackle of her chaos magic, heard Ron casting spells in response, but he couldn't see, couldn't process, could barely think through the agony in his skull. Don't fight it, Wanda. Ron's voice was calm now, terrifyingly calm. This is bigger than both of you. The static will bring peace, real peace. An end to all the suffering. You're insane, maybe, but I'm finally free. Harry felt hands grab him, drag him across the ground. Pages crunched beneath his body. The abyss is waiting for you, Harry. Ron's voice was close, too close. The place where forgotten characters go. You'll fit right in. The hero nobody remembers. Ron. Harry managed to speak through the pain. Please, don't do this. I have to. It's the only way the story changes. And then Ron pushed him. Harry fell, not downward, sideways, through a gap in reality that shouldn't exist, into nothing. The last thing he heard was Wanda screaming his name. Then silence. The abyss of forgotten characters was exactly what it sounded like. Harry landed hard on something that felt like solid ground but looked like nothing at all. White. Endless white in every direction. No up, no down, no horizon, no depth. He was alone. His body ached. The spell Ron had hit him with was still burning through his system, dismantling his connection to the narrative structure piece by piece. He could feel his power draining away, feel himself becoming less. Get up. Harry forced himself to his feet, swayed. Nearly fell at think, he muttered. Think. He was in the abyss, the place where abandoned characters were sent to fade away. Normally, he could navigate these spaces easily, find the exit, edit his way out. But his story walker abilities were gone, stripped away by Ron's curse. He was just a man now, a wizard with a wand and nothing else. Harry reached for his wand. It was still there. Thank God, his fingers closed around the familiar wood. Okay. Not completely helpless. Movement at the edge of his vision. Harry spun, wand raised. Shapes were emerging from the whiteness. Humanoid figures, but wrong, incomplete, missing features. Missing limbs, missing faces, the scrapped concepts. Oh no! They moved toward him with jerky, broken motions. Not walking. Glitching. Teleporting forward in stuttering increments. Harry cast the first spell that came to mind. Stupefy? Red light hit the nearest figure. Passed right through, did nothing. The figure kept coming. Reducto. Same result. The spell impacted uselessly, dispersing into the white void. Magic didn't work here. Not offensive magic, at least. These things weren't real enough to be affected by normal spells. Harry turned and ran. The figures followed. He could hear them behind him. Not footsteps. A buzzing. A hissing, the sound of static given form. He ran until his lungs burned. Until his legs screamed. The white void stretched endlessly. No cover. No shelter. No escape. Then he saw it. A structure in the distance. A building, or the remnant of one. Broken windows. A door hanging off its hinges. Harry sprinted toward it. The scrapped concepts followed. He dove through the doorway and slammed what was left of the door shut behind him. It wouldn't hold. He knew it wouldn't hold. But it bought him seconds. Inside was dark. Normal dark, not void, white. His eyes adjusted slowly. He was in some kind of office, desks overturned. Papers scattered everywhere. Dust thick on every surface. A dead building in a dead place. The door shuddered. The scrapped concepts were trying to get in. Harry looked for another exit. Found a window at the back. Climbed through it just as the door gave way. He ran again. Through streets that shouldn't exist. Past buildings that were half-formed, half-imagined. Remnants of stories that never got past the first chapter. The scrapped concepts were everywhere now. Emerging from doorways. Rising from the ground. Reaching for him with hands that had too many fingers or not enough. Harry cast a lumos. The light drove them back slightly. Not much, but enough to give him breathing room. He kept moving. Had to keep moving. If he stopped, they'd swarm him. Time passed, minutes, hours. He couldn't tell anymore. His body was failing. The lumos was flickering. His wand arm shook with exhaustion. And then he reached the edge. The buildings ended. The ground ended. Everything ended. Beyond was nothing. True nothing. Not the white void he'd been running through. An absence even deeper. The edge of existence itself. Harry stood at the precipice. Behind him, the scrapped concepts closed in. In front of him, oblivion nowhere to go. He turned to face the approaching horde, raised his wand one last time. "If I'm going down," he said, "I'm taking some of you with me." They surged forward. Harry cast everything he had, Stupefy, Reducto, Incendio, Bombarda. The spells did nothing. Passed through, dissipated. But he kept casting, kept fighting. A scrapped concept reached him, grabbed his arm. Its touch burned like frostbite. Harry screamed, tried to pull away. Another grabbed his leg, another his shoulder. They were dragging him down, pulling him apart, erasing him piece by piece. This is it, he thought. This is how it ends. He closed his eyes. And then red light exploded through the void. Red energy tore through the scrapped concepts like fire through paper. They dissolved, vanished, screamed in frequencies that hurt to hear. Harry fell to his knees, released. A figure descended from above. Red chaos magic swirling around her like a cloak, eyes blazing with power that made the void itself tremble. Wanda. She landed beside him. The remaining scrapped concepts fled, unable to face her. "You found me," Harry croaked. Wanda's face was pale, strained. Blood dripped from her nose. "I burned through 3 barriers to get here." Her voice was hoarse. "Don't ever make me do that again." Harry laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. "How did you escape Ron?" Wanda's expression darkened. "I didn't escape. I left him. He's still up there with the static. I couldn't fight him and find you at the same time. The static is getting stronger. Ron is feeding it somehow." "I know." Wanda knelt beside him. Her hands found his face. "Harry, look at me." He met her eyes. Red, so much red, but underneath concern, real concern. "I don't know." "Then I'll carry you." She started to lift him. "Wanda, wait." Harry grabbed her wrist. "My powers." The Story Walker abilities, they're gone. Ron's curse stripped them away. Wanda went still. I can't see the narrative anymore. Harry continued. Can't read the script, can't edit reality. I'm just a wizard now. Just a man. He expected her to be disappointed, maybe even angry. Without his powers, he was significantly less useful, less capable of helping her stop the static. Instead, Wanda smiled. It was a small smile, tired. Good, she said. Harry blinked. Good. You said it yourself, back at the cabin. You were tired of knowing everything. Tired of being outside the story. She helped him to his feet. Now you're inside it, with the rest of us. That's not exactly a positive thing right now. Maybe not. But it means we're equals now. Partners. Not a god and his helper. She steadied him as he swayed. Besides, you still have magic. You still have knowledge. You still have centuries of experience. And I still have you. Wanda's smile widened slightly. Yes. You still have me. They stood at the edge of oblivion. Two broken people holding each other up. I can't see the ending anymore. Good. She pulled him close. Then we make it up as we go. Harry leaned into her. Felt her strength, her warmth, her chaos. We have to stop Ron, he said. We will. He's my friend. I know. Wanda's voice was soft. But he's also the enemy now. Whatever the static did to him, he chose this. He chose to betray you. Harry closed his eyes. I know. I know. Can you do what needs to be done? When the time comes. Harry didn't answer. He didn't have an answer. Wanda didn't push. Come on, she said. We need to find a way out of this place. Plan. And then, Wanda looked back toward the void, toward the distant glow of red that marked the way she'd come. And then we go back. We face the static. We face Ron. Her jaw tightened. And we finish this. Harry nodded. Let her lead him away from the edge. Behind them, the abyss of forgotten characters stretched into infinity, full of ghosts and failures and stories that never got to end. Harry refused to become one of them, whatever it took. Escaping the abyss wasn't simple. Harry learned that the hard way over the next several hours. Every path Wanda tried to carve through the void collapsed behind them. Every doorway she opened led somewhere worse. The abyss didn't want them to leave. This is getting ridiculous. Wanda's hands sparked with red energy as another pathway crumbled into white nothing. I've torn through dimensional barriers before. This shouldn't be this hard. Harry leaned against a half-formed wall that might have been part of an office building once. His body was wrecked. The curse Ron had hit him with was still burning through his system, and without his Story Walker powers, he had no way to edit the damage away. The abyss is designed to trap people, he said. It's not just a place, it's a narrative dead end. The story equivalent of a black hole. Then how do we get out? I don't know. Normally I just read the exit into existence. But I can't do that anymore. Wanda turned to look at him. Her face was pale, drawn. The effort of breaking through to find him had cost her, and now she was spending even more energy trying to escape. There has to be another way, she said. Maybe. Or maybe we're stuck here until we fade like everything else. That's not helpful. I'm not trying to be helpful. I'm trying to be realistic. Wanda walked toward him. Her boots crunched on pages that had once been someone's story. Someone's dream. The Harry I met 2 days ago wouldn't give up this easily. The Harry you met 2 days ago could see every possible outcome. He knew exactly which moves to make because he'd already read the ending. Harry closed his eyes. I'm not that Harry anymore. I don't know what I am. Wanda stood in front of him, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from her chaos magic. You're still Harry Potter, she said. The boy who survived when he should have died. The wizard who defeated a Dark Lord at 17. The man who united 3 magical artifacts and became something new. That was a long time ago. It was you. All of it was you. The powers didn't make you who you are. They were just tools. Harry opened his eyes. Wanda was staring at him with an intensity that made his chest tight. I watched my children fade away, she continued. I watched Vision die twice. I lost everything and everyone I ever loved. And I'm still standing, still fighting. Because that's what we do. That's what people like us have to do. Wanda, shut up and listen. Her voice cracked. I didn't burn through three-dimensional barriers to find you just so you could give up. You told me my story was broken. You told me you could help me fix it. Well, your story is broken too now, and I'm not leaving you behind. Harry stared at her. This woman who had every reason to hate the world, who had been used and manipulated and destroyed over and over, who was still, somehow, refusing to quit, he said quietly. Okay, what? Okay, I'll stop feeling sorry for myself. We'll find a way out. Wanda's expression softened. Just a fraction. Good, because I have an idea. What kind of idea? A bad one. But it might work. She stepped back and raised her hands. Red energy swirled around her fingers, brighter than before. The abyss traps narratives, she said. It holds onto stories that were abandoned. But my magic doesn't create stories. It creates chaos. Potential without form. You want to overload it. I want to give it something it can't process. Something that doesn't fit its rules. Wanda's eyes started to glow. I'm going to tear a hole in reality so big that the abyss can't close it. Harry pushed himself off the wall. That's insane. You could destroy yourself, maybe. But it's better than fading away in here. Wanda, wait. She didn't wait. The red energy exploded outward from her hands. Not a controlled burst, a detonation. Reality screamed as Wanda's chaos magic tore into the fabric of the abyss itself. Harry was thrown backward. He hit something hard and went down. His vision blurred. His ears rang. When he could see again, Wanda was floating in the center of a maelstrom of red energy. Her hair whipped around her face. Her eyes were pure scarlet, no pupils, no whites. The abyss was fighting back. White tendrils of void stuff reached for her, trying to drag her down, trying to absorb her chaos into its emptiness. Wanda burned them away. More came. She burned those too. Wanda! Harry scrambled to his feet. You have to stop! It's too much! She couldn't hear him. Or she was ignoring him. The red energy kept expanding, kept tearing, kept destroying. A crack appeared in the white void. An actual crack, like a fracture in glass. Through it, Harry could see something, darkness. Stars, a sky that wasn't empty. That's it! Keep going! But Wanda was weakening. He could see it. Her movements were slowing. The red energy was flickering. And the abyss wasn't done. A massive tendril of white nothing erupted from the ground directly beneath Wanda. It wrapped around her before she could react, pinning her arms to her sides, cutting off her magic. No, Harry ran toward her. He had no plan, no powers, just desperation. The tendril started to pull Wanda down, into the void, into oblivion. Harry! Her voice was distant, muffled. Get to the crack! Get out! I'm not leaving you! You have to! One of us has to stop the static! One of us has to! The tendril yanked her down, and she was gone. Harry reached the spot where she'd been. Nothing. Just white void, smooth and unbroken, as if Wanda Maximoff had never existed. No, no, no. He fell to his knees, pounded the ground with his fists. The void absorbed the impact without reaction. Give her back! He screamed. The abyss didn't answer. The abyss didn't care. Harry knelt there for a long time, minutes. Hours. He couldn't tell. Time had no meaning in this place. When he finally looked up, the crack Wanda had made was still there. Smaller now, slowly closing, but still visible. A doorway to somewhere else. He could go through, escape, save himself, leave Wanda behind. Harry stood up slowly. His body ached. His heart ached worse. I'll find you, he said to the empty void. I don't know how, but I'll find you. And I'll get you out. He walked toward the crack. Every step felt like betrayal. But Wanda was right. One of them had to stop the static. One of them had to survive. Harry stepped through the crack and left the abyss behind. Wanda woke up to the smell of pancakes. That was wrong. That was very wrong. She sat up slowly. She was in a bed, a comfortable bed with soft sheets and a quilted blanket. Sunlight streamed through cheerful yellow curtains. What the hell? She looked around. The room was small but cozy. Wooden furniture. Framed photos on the walls. A vase of fresh flowers on the nightstand. This was not the abyss. This was not anywhere she recognized. Wanda threw off the blanket and swung her legs out of bed. She was wearing pajamas. Flannel pajamas with little flowers on them. She hadn't owned pajamas like this since she was a child. Okay, stay calm. She reached for her magic. Nothing happened. Wanda's blood went cold. She tried again, focusing harder, reaching for the chaos that had been part of her since Hydra's experiments. Still nothing. No reality warping. No power at all. No, that's not possible. The bedroom door opened. A man stood in the doorway. Tall. Wearing an apron over a button-down shirt. Vision, good morning, sweetheart. He smiled at her. That gentle, warm smile she'd loved so much. Breakfast is almost ready. The boys are already at the table. Wanda couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't process what she was seeing. Vision, alive, standing in front of her like nothing had happened. Wanda, are you all right? Her voice came out as a croak. How are you here? Vision's smile faltered slightly. What do you mean? I live here. We all do. No, you're dead. I watched you die. Twice. Vision's expression shifted. For just a moment something flickered behind his eyes, something that looked like static. Then he smiled again. You must have had a bad dream. Come on, breakfast is getting cold. He turned and walked away. Wanda stood frozen in the bedroom. Her mind was racing. This was wrong. This was all wrong. But Vision was alive. And he'd mentioned the boys. She followed him. The hallway was lined with more photos. Wanda and Vision at their wedding. Wanda and Vision with two boys at various ages. Birthday parties, holidays. A lifetime of memories she didn't remember making. The kitchen was bright and cheerful. Yellow walls, white cabinets. A table in the center where two boys sat eating pancakes. Billy, Tommy, her sons. The children she'd created in Westview and been forced to let go. Mom! Tommy looked up, his face covered in syrup. Billy won't share the bacon. I gave you half, Billy protested. You already ate yours? They were arguing. Normal sibling arguing. Like real children, Wanda's legs gave out. She grabbed the doorframe for support, tears streaming down her face. Boys, give your mother some space. Vision was at her side, supporting her. She's not feeling well this morning. I'm fine, Wanda managed. I'm fine. She looked at her sons, at Vision, at this perfect little life that couldn't possibly be real. Where are we? She asked. Home, of course. Where else would we be? No, Wanda took a breath. What town? What state? Wanda, you're scaring me. Maybe you should lie down. I don't want to lie down. I want to know what's happening. The room went quiet. Billy and Tommy had stopped arguing. They were watching her with expressions that were suddenly, unnervingly blank. Everything is fine, Vision said. His voice was different now. Mechanical. Everything is perfect. You're home. You're safe. You're happy? I'm not happy. You're happy. Vision's grip on her arm tightened. Too tight. Say it. Let go of me. Say you're happy. Wanda tried to pull away. She couldn't. Vision's hand was like a vice. Say it, Wanda. Say you're happy. That's your line. Your line. Wanda went still. This isn't real, she said slowly. This is a script. A trap. Vision's face flickered. Static rippled across his features, revealing something hollow underneath. You're supposed to play along. His voice was layered now. Multiple tones speaking at once. That's how the story goes. The grieving mother gets her family back. She lives happily ever after. The end. Wanda looked at Billy and Tommy. They were still frozen, still watching her with those blank expressions. They're not real, she whispered. Does it matter? The thing wearing Vision's face smiled. They could be real. All you have to do is accept the story. Stop fighting. Let the narrative carry you. The static. The peace. The ending you've always wanted. The fake vision released her arm. Stay here, Wanda. Be happy. Forget about Harry Potter and the collapsing multiverse. None of that matters. Only this matters. It was tempting. God help her. It was tempting. A life with vision. With her boys. No more fighting, no more loss. No more pain. All she had to do was accept the lie. Wanda looked at the fake vision. At the fake Billy and Tommy. At the fake house with the fake memories and the fake happiness. No, she said. The thing wearing Vision's face frowned. What? I said no. Wanda's voice was stronger now. This isn't my story. You don't get to write my ending. You don't have a choice. You're trapped here. Your powers don't work. There's nothing you can do. Wanda smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. You took my chaos magic, my reality warping, the powers I was given. She took a step toward the fake vision. But you forgot something. What? I'm still Wanda Maximoff. I survived Hydra. I survived Ultron. I survived losing everyone I ever loved. And I did all that before I had any powers at all. The room flickered. The fake vision's expression shifted from confident to uncertain. You can't escape. The script? I don't care about your script. Wanda was shaking now. Not with fear. With anger. I don't care about your perfect ending or your narrative piece. I've lived in a fake reality before. I know how this works. She looked directly at Billy and Tommy, the fake versions of her sons, watching her with empty eyes. I let you go once, she said softly. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I did it because I loved you. Because keeping you meant hurting innocent people. Tears rolled down her cheeks. And I won't dishonor that sacrifice by accepting a lie. The room shuddered. Cracks appeared in the walls. The cheerful yellow paint started to peel away, revealing white void underneath. Stop it! The fake vision's voice was panicked now.
You're breaking the narrative.
Good. Wanda turned to face him. That's what I do. I break things. She couldn't access her chaos magic. But she could feel something else. Something deeper. The rage and grief and love that had always been the source of her power. You think a script can hold me. You think a fake family and a fake life can make me forget who I am. Wanda's voice rose. I am the Scarlet Witch. I've touched the minds of gods. I've rewritten reality itself. And I will not be trapped by a story that isn't mine. The room exploded. Not with red energy, with something else. Will. Pure, unfiltered will. The force of a woman who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The fake vision dissolved into static and noise. Billy and Tommy faded away, their last expressions almost looking sad. The house collapsed around her, walls crumbling, floors giving way, everything turning to white nothing. Wanda stood in the void, alone, powerless, but free. And then she felt it, a tug, a pull, something calling to her from beyond the white emptiness. Harry. She couldn't see him, couldn't sense him with her magic, but she knew, somehow, that he was out there, fighting, surviving, waiting for her. Wanda looked at the white void around her. The prison the static had built to trap her. I'm done being your character, she said. And then she did something she'd never done before. She looked directly at the void itself, at the static, at whatever was watching her from beyond the fabric of the narrative. No more scripts, she said. The void screamed. Reality tore open, and Wanda Maximoff walked out. Harry had no idea where he was. The crack from the abyss had deposited him somewhere dark and cold. He'd been stumbling through it for what felt like hours, using his wand as a light source, trying to find anything that looked like a way forward. The place seemed to be some kind of ruins. Ancient ruins, older than anything he'd ever seen. Stone walls covered in symbols he didn't recognize. Ceilings so high his lumos couldn't reach them. Corridors that twisted and turned without any logical pattern. And everywhere the sound of dripping water and distant, echoing moans. Harry kept his wand raised and his senses sharp. Without his story walker abilities, he was back to relying on instincts he hadn't used in centuries. The skills he'd learned as a teenage wizard fighting a war against impossible odds. Constant vigilance, as Mad Eye used to say. He turned a corner and found himself in a larger chamber. His lumos revealed broken columns, shattered statues, and a floor covered in debris. And in the center of the room, something was moving. Harry froze. The thing was massive, 20 feet tall at least, humanoid but wrong. Its body looked like it had been assembled from pieces of different creatures, all of them incomplete. Multiple arms, some ending in hands, some in claws, some in nothing at all. A head that might have been a face once, before whatever gave it form gave up halfway through, a scrapped concept. But not like the mindless ones he'd fought before. This one had presence. Weight. Something that might have been intelligence. It turned toward him. Harry didn't run. Running hadn't worked before, and this thing was between him and the only exit he could see. "Hello," he said. The creature made a sound, not words, just noise. But there was something questioning in it. "I'm trying to leave. I don't want any trouble." More noise. The creature took a step toward him. The ground shook under its weight. "Right. Trouble anyway." Harry raised his wand. He didn't know if his spells would work on this thing. But he had to try. "Stoopfie?" The red light hit the creature square in its approximation of a chest. It staggered, recovered, kept coming. Better than nothing. This time the spell blasted a chunk off one of its many arms. The creature roared. Not in pain, exactly. More like confusion. It looked at its damaged limb as if it didn't understand what had happened. Then it charged. Harry dove to the side. The creature's fist cratered the floor where he'd been standing. He rolled, came up, fired off 3 more spells in quick succession. The creature absorbed them. Kept coming. Bloody hell. He was retreating now, backing toward a corridor on the far side of the chamber. The creature followed, its movements becoming more coordinated, more purposeful. It was learning, adapting. Harry reached the corridor and ran. The creature followed. He could hear it smashing through the stone walls behind him, too big to fit through the narrow passage, but not letting that stop it. Harry ran until his lungs burned, until his legs screamed, until he burst out of the corridor into another chamber. This one smaller, with no other exits. Dead end. He turned around. The creature was breaking through the corridor, stone and dust flying everywhere. In seconds it would be through. In seconds Harry would have nowhere left to go. He thought about Wanda, about whether she was still alive somewhere in the abyss, about whether anyone would remember him after he was gone. He raised his wand. "Come on!" Then, "Let's finish this." The creature broke through. And then red light filled the chamber, not from Harry's wand, from above. From a tear in reality itself, scarlet energy pouring through like blood from a wound. A figure descended from the tear. Wanda. But not the Wanda he'd seen before. This Wanda was different, changed. Her eyes were still red, but there was something harder in them. Something that had been through fire and come out the other side. She landed between Harry and the creature. "Get away from him," she said. The creature roared and swung at her. Wanda raised a hand. Red energy met the creature's fist and stopped it cold. The impact sent shockwaves through the chamber. Dust rained from the ceiling, I said. Wanda's voice was calm, cold. "Get away." She pushed. The creature flew backward, hit the wall, went through the wall, kept going until it was out of sight, its roars fading into distance. Wanda turned to face Harry. "Hey?" she said. Harry stared at her, this woman who had escaped an inescapable trap, who had somehow found him across impossible distances, who had just thrown a monster through solid stone like it was nothing. "Hi," he managed. "You look terrible." "I feel terrible." Wanda walked toward him. Her movements were different now, more confident, more controlled. Whatever had happened to her in the sitcom trap had changed something fundamental. "The static tried to trap me," she said. It built a fake life, a fake vision, fake versions of my boys. I'm sorry. Don't be, it didn't work. Wanda stopped in front of him. I broke out. And when I did, I understood something. What? My chaos magic isn't just about destruction, it's about change, transformation, becoming something new. Her eyes met his. The static wants to end all stories, freeze everything in perfect, unchanging peace. But I'm the opposite of that. I'm change itself. Harry looked at her, at the power radiating from her skin, at the certainty in her expression. You're different, he said. I'm still me, just more. She reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were warm. I thought I lost you. When the abyss took me, I thought that was it. That I'd never see you again. Same. When you disappeared, Harry's voice caught. I didn't know what to do. For the first time in centuries, I had no idea how to save someone. But you tried anyway. You went through the crack instead of giving up. It felt like giving up, leaving you behind. Wanda shook her head. It was surviving. It was doing what needed to be done. That's not giving up. That's being human. Harry let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. I can't see the ending anymore, Wanda. I don't know if we win. I don't know if we survive. Wanda's lips curved into a small smile. Good. Then we make it up as we go. She pulled him into an embrace. Harry held on to her like she was the only real thing in a universe of chaos. Because right now she was. She was the one certainty he had left. We have to stop Ron, he said into her hair. I know. He's my friend. Or he was. I know that too. I don't know if I can do what needs to be done. Wanda pulled back slightly, looked him in the eyes. You don't have to do it alone. That's the point. That's what being partners means. Harry nodded slowly. Okay. Then let's figure out a plan. They sat down in the ruined chamber. The creature hadn't come back. The tear Wanda had made was slowly closing above them, but there was still enough light from her residual energy to see by. The broker said we need order and chaos, Harry began. My magic creates structure. Yours creates potential. Together, we can build a vessel to contain the static. But someone has to become the vessel. That's what he said. Someone has to carry the static inside them forever. That's the part I'm stuck on. I was going to volunteer myself, but without my story walker powers, I don't know if I'm strong enough anymore. Wanda was quiet for a moment. What if we share it? Harry frowned. What do you mean? The broker said order and chaos. Not order or chaos. What if the vessel has to be both? Wanda's eyes were thoughtful. What if we link ourselves together and create a container between us? Something that's not just you or me, but both? Harry stopped. That might actually work. If we combine our essences, we create something new. Something the static can't predict because it's never existed before. And instead of one person carrying all the weight, we share it. Divide it between us. It would bind us together. Permanently. We'd be connected for the rest of our existences. Wanda met his eyes. Would that be so bad? Harry looked at her. This woman he'd known for barely 2 days. This woman who had already become more important to him than people he'd known for centuries. No, he said quietly. That wouldn't be bad at all. Wanda smiled. A real smile. The first one he'd seen from her. Then that's the plan. We find Ron, we face the static, and we bind it between us. Together. Together. They sat in the ruins for a while longer, recovering their strength, preparing for what was to come. Harry told Wanda about his centuries as the story walker. The loneliness, the detachment, the slow loss of humanity that came from standing outside all stories. Wanda told Harry about Westview, about the horror of realizing she'd enslaved a town to fuel her grief, about the children she'd created and loved and been forced to let go. They didn't judge each other, didn't offer platitudes or easy absolution, just listened, understood. 2 broken people sharing their cracks. We should go, Harry said finally. The longer we wait, the stronger the static gets. Wanda stood. Can you find the way back to the graveyard? I think so. Without my story walker abilities, it'll be harder. But I can still sense the threads if I focus. Then focus. I'll keep us safe. Harry closed his eyes, reached out with his diminished senses, searching for the thread that would lead them back to where this had all started. It took longer than it should have. Without his full powers, reading the multiverse was like trying to see in thick fog. Shapes and shadows, nothing clear. But eventually, he found it. A thread leading back to the graveyard of stories. Back to Ron. Back to the static. He opened his eyes. I've got it. Wanda took his hand. Her grip was strong, warm. Let's go end this story, she said. Harry nodded. He pulled the thread and reality opened around them. The journey back was rougher than before. Without his full powers, Harry couldn't smooth the transition between dimensions. They tumbled through spaces that weren't quite real, dodging fragments of collapsed timelines and echoes of dead narratives. Wanda kept them stable with her chaos magic, catching them when they fell, shielding them when reality got too sharp. They made a good team. Finally, they emerged. The graveyard of stories stretched around them, more corrupted than before. The pages that made up the ground were dissolving into white void. The ink-colored sky had cracked open, revealing nothing beyond. And at the center, where the core had been, a figure waited, Ron. But he wasn't alone. The static had grown. What had been a wound in reality was now a towering pillar of anti-existence, reaching from the ground to the broken sky. It pulsed with that terrible anti-light, that absence that hurt to perceive. Ron stood at its base, his eyes completely white now, his body flickering with static. You came back. His voice was layered with 1,000 other voices. I didn't think you would. Harry stepped forward. Wanda stayed at his side. It's over, Ron. Whatever the static promised you, it was a lie. It can't give you what you want, can't it? Ron smiled. It was wrong on his face. It showed me the truth, Harry, about who I really am. About what I was always meant to be. You were meant to be my friend, my brother, the person who stood with me when no one else would. The sidekick, the comic relief. The character nobody cares about. Ron's voice broke slightly. Do you know how many stories there are about Harry Potter? Millions. Billions. And in every single one, Ron Weasley is a footnote. That's not true. It is true. I've seen them all. The static showed me. Ron gestured at the pillar behind him. But it also showed me something else. A way to change the story. To become the protagonist for once. By destroying everything. By erasing the entire multiverse, by starting fresh. A new story, with me at the center. No more Harry Potter. No more boy who lived. Just Ron, finally getting his chance. Harry felt Wanda's hand on his arm. A warning. A support. Ron, listen to me. I know I haven't been a good friend. I've been so lost in my own story that I forgot you had one too. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Ron's expression flickered. For just a moment something human showed through the static. It's too late for apologies. It's never too late. That's the whole point of stories, isn't it? They can always change. They can always get better. Harry took another step forward. Let me help you. Let us help you. We can find a way to give you the story you deserve without destroying everyone else's. Ron was quiet. The static pulsed behind him. The voices in his head were arguing, Harry could tell. Fighting for control. I want to believe you, Ron said. His voice was his own again. Just for a moment. I really do. But the static. Fight it. You're Ron Weasley. You've been fighting impossible odds your whole life. This is just one more. Ron's hands clenched into fists. His face contorted with effort. I can't. It's too strong. Harry! I can't. The static surged. Ron screamed. And then his eyes went white again, and whatever was left of Harry's friend disappeared behind a wall of void. Enough talking. Ron's voice was pure static now. No trace of humanity left. Time to end this story. All of it. Forever, the pillar of anti-existence began to expand. Harry and Wanda looked at each other. Ready? She asked. No. But let's do it anyway. Wanda's hands erupted with red light. Harry raised his wand, green energy flowing from its tip. Red and green, chaos and order. Two forces that should have been opposed, finally working in harmony. They moved forward together. The final battle had begun. The graveyard of stories was collapsing. Harry and Wanda ran toward Ron as the ground beneath them dissolved into white nothing. Pages flew in every direction, torn apart by winds that howled with static and noise. The sky above had shattered completely, revealing an endless void that was slowly swallowing everything. Ron stood at the center of the chaos, his body flickering like a bad signal, his eyes pure white. The pillar of static behind him had grown to monstrous proportions. A tower of anti-existence that reached from the dissolving ground to the broken sky. "You can't stop this!" Ron's voice boomed across the dying landscape, amplified by the thousand voices of the static.
The story is ending!
All stories are ending. Harry raised his wand. Green energy crackled along its length. We're not here to stop you, Ron. We're here to save you. Save me, Ron laughed. It was an ugly sound, distorted and wrong. I don't need saving. I'm finally free. Finally the protagonist of my own story. You're not the protagonist. You're just another puppet. Wanda's hands blazed with red light. The static is using you. Can't you see that? The static showed me the truth. The static showed you lies dressed up as truth. That's what it does. That's how it feeds. Ron's face twisted. For a moment, something human flickered behind the white of his eyes. Then it was gone. Enough. Time to write the ending. He raised his wand, not toward Harry or Wanda, toward the sky itself. And he wrote. The words appeared in flames against the void. Letters 20 feet tall, burning with dark fire. Harry Harry felt something clench in his chest. The words had weight. Power. They were trying to become real, trying to rewrite the narrative itself. His knees buckle, Harry. Wanda grabbed his arm. The words. Harry gasped. He's writing my death into existence. Wanda looked up at the burning letters. Her face hardened. No, he's not. She raised both hands. Red energy exploded from her palms, a beam of chaos magic that slammed into the words in the sky. The letters screamed. Actually screamed. A high-pitched wail of tortured narrative. They flickered, wavered, began to dissolve. You can't. Ron's voice cracked with rage. That's the script. That's how it ends. I don't care about your script. Wanda's arms trembled with effort. Blood dripped from her nose. I make my own endings. The words shattered. Burning fragments rained down around them, dissolving into nothing before they hit the ground. Harry sucked in a breath as the pressure on his chest released. Wanda, I'm fine. Go. Help your friend. Harry didn't hesitate. He ran toward Ron. His wand raised, his heart pounding. Ron met him halfway. The first spell came fast. A curse Harry didn't recognize. Something the static had taught him, crackling with void energy. Harry dove to the side. The spell hit the ground where he'd been standing and erased it. Just gone. A hole in reality where solid ground had been. You always were quick. Ron circled him, wand moving in patterns Harry had never seen. But you can't dodge forever. I'm not trying to dodge. Harry straightened. I'm trying to talk to you. Talk, Ron laughed. We're past talking. Mate, we're past everything? No, we're not. You're still in there, Ron. I know you are. The Ron you knew is dead. The static consumed him. Bollocks. Harry's voice was harsh. I've known you since we were 11. You're the most stubborn person I've ever met. You don't just give up. Ron's wand hand wavered. Just for a second. You don't know what it was like. His voice was quieter now. More human. Watching Hermione die. Watching our whole world dissolve into nothing. I tried to save her, Harry. I tried so hard. But I wasn't strong enough. I was never strong enough. Ron? The static found me after. When I had nothing left, it offered me a way to matter. A way to be the hero for once instead of the sidekick. Ron's eyes flickered between white and blue. Can you blame me for taking it? Harry lowered his wand, not all the way, but enough. I don't blame you. I understand. Believe me, I understand. Do you? You've always been the chosen one, the boy who lived. You've never known what it's like to stand in someone else's shadow. Maybe not. But I know what it's like to be used. To be a pawn in someone else's game. Harry took a step forward. Dumbledore manipulated me my whole childhood. Raised me like a pig for slaughter. I was supposed to die, Ron. That was always the plan. My death was written into the story from the beginning. Ron went still, but I didn't accept it. I found another way, and you can too. It's too late. The static is part of me now. I can feel it in my blood, in my thoughts. If I try to fight it, it'll tear me apart. Then let us help you. Wanda and I, we have a plan. We can contain the static. Bind it. You don't have to carry this alone. Ron's face contorted. The human and the void were fighting for control. Harry could see it. Years of friendship warring against weeks of corruption. I want to believe you, Ron whispered. Then believe me. Trust me. Like you used to. For one perfect moment Harry thought it was going to work. He saw the static receding in Ron's eyes. Saw his friend reaching toward him through the darkness. Then the pillar of anti-existence behind Ron pulsed, and Ron screamed. No! Get out of my head! Get out! His body convulsed, spasmed. The white flooded back into his eyes, brighter than before. Oh! Harry ran toward him. He didn't think about strategy or safety. He just ran. A wall of static hit him like a freight train. Harry flew backward, tumbling across the dissolving pages, pain exploding through every nerve. He landed hard and couldn't get up. His body wouldn't respond. Foolish. Ron's voice was pure static now. No trace of humanity left. He almost escaped. But the vessel is mine now. The story is mine. The pillar of anti-existence began to change. It wasn't just expanding anymore. It was forming. Taking shape. Arms made of void. Legs made of nothing. A head that was pure absence. A face that was the end of all faces. The static was manifesting. Wanda landed beside Harry. Her hands closed around his arms, hauling him upright. Can you stand? I think so. Harry's vision swam. Did you see? I saw. Ron's gone. The static's taken full control. No, he's still in there. I almost reached him. Harry? I won't give up on him. I can't. Wanda's expression was complicated. Grief and determination and something that might have been love, all tangled together. Then we do this together. Like we planned. Harry nodded. His body screamed in protest as he raised his wand. Like we planned. The static finished forming. It was massive. 50 feet tall, a giant made of nothing. A demon crafted from the absence of existence. Its body was pure void black, shot through with veins of white static. Its face was a hole in reality. A window into the nothing that waited at the end of all things. And at its heart, embedded like a splinter in flesh, was Ron. His body was still visible, trapped in the center of the creature's chest, his eyes closed, his face peaceful. The static was using him as an anchor, a connection to the narrative world it wanted to destroy. The Stoariendes. The static spoke. Its voice was everything and nothing at once. A roar and a whisperlance. Eol stars and a CCPT passive of T voidi. Harry looked at Wanda. She looked back at him. Order and chaos, she said. Together, they moved. Harry went left. Wanda went right. The static swung at them with fists the size of cars, but they were too fast, too coordinated. Centuries of combat experience and reality, warping instinct working in perfect harmony. Harry's wand blazed with green light. The energy of death, the power of the hollows, channeled into focused beams that carved into the static's form. The void, flesh parted where he struck, revealing glimpses of the nothing inside. Wanda's chaos magic did even more damage. Her red energy didn't just cut the static, it changed it. Transformed void into substance, absence into presence. Where her power touched, the static screamed and recoiled. But it wasn't enough. The wounds they made healed almost instantly. The static was too vast, too powerful. For every piece they destroyed, more flowed in from the endless void above. "We need to reach Ron," Harry shouted. "He's the anchor. If we can free him, the static loses its connection to our reality. I'll make an opening. You get him out." Wanda raised both hands. Her eyes blazed pure scarlet. "Wanda, that's too much! You'll burn yourself out!" "Do you trust me?" Harry met her eyes. This woman he'd known for days but felt like he'd known forever. "Wes, then trust me now." She unleashed everything. Red energy erupted from Wanda in a sphere of pure chaos. It expanded outward, consuming everything it touched, rewriting reality itself. The static screamed as the wave hit it, its void, flesh dissolving under the assault. For a moment, just a moment, a path opened to Ron's body. At the creature's heart Harry ran. His legs burned. His lungs screamed. The path was already closing, the static regenerating, trying to seal the wound Wanda had made. He dove through the gap just as it closed behind him. And he was inside the static. It was worse than the abyss. At least the abyss had been empty. This was actively hostile. The void pressed against Harry from all sides, trying to unmake him, trying to erase his existence entirely. He couldn't see, couldn't breathe, could only feel the nothing trying to consume him. But ahead, through the darkness, he could see a light. Ron. His friend's body hung suspended in the void, glowing faintly with the remnants of his own magic. His eyes were still closed. His face was still peaceful. But he was alive. Harry could feel it. Harry reached toward him. "Ron, wake up! I'm here! I came for you!" No response. Harry pushed forward. Every step was agony. The void was eating at his edges, dissolving him piece by piece. "Ron, please! You have to fight! You have to come back!" Still nothing. Harry reached Ron's body, grabbed his hand. It was cold, so cold. "I'm not leaving you." Harry's voice cracked. "You're my best friend, my brother. I'm not leaving you to this thing." Ron's eyes opened. They were blue again, human, filled with tears. "Harry." His voice was barely a whisper. "You came?" "Of course I came. I'll always come for you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I tried to fight it, but it was too strong." "I know. It's okay. We're going to fix this." "You can't." Ron's face was anguished. "I can feel it. The static is too deep inside me. If you try to pull me out, it'll just follow. It'll use me to destroy everything. There has to be another way." "There is." Ron's hand tightened on Harry's. "You have to leave me. Seal the static inside with me as the anchor. I can hold it. I'm strong enough for that." "No, absolutely not, Harry." I said no. Harry's voice was fierce. "I'm not sacrificing you. We're getting out of this together. Some stories need a tragic ending. Not this one. Not ours." Outside, Harry could hear Wanda still fighting. Her chaos magic was keeping the static occupied, but he could hear the strain in her screams of effort. She couldn't hold out forever. He had to make a choice. Leave Ron, seal the static, save the multiverse, or stay, try to save his friend, risk everything. Harry Potter had always been terrible at choosing himself over the people he loved. "I have an idea," he said, "but you're not going to like it." "What?" "The broker said we need a vessel to contain the static, someone to carry it inside them forever." Harry met Ron's eyes. "I'm going to be that vessel." "Harry, no. The static is too strong for you alone. I know that, but it's not too strong for me. I've carried impossible burdens before." Harry smiled. It hurt. "Let me do this. Let me be the hero this time." "That's insane. You'll be trapped forever. Carrying that thing inside you for eternity. Maybe, but you'll be free. The multiverse will be safe." Harry squeezed Ron's hand. "It's a good trade." Ron was crying now. Actual tears streaming down his face. "I was so jealous of you. For so long. I hated being in your shadow. But I never wanted this. I never wanted you to sacrifice yourself for me. I know. That's why I'm doing it." Harry closed his eyes, reached for his magic. For the green light of death, the power of the Hallows, the energy that had made him the master of death so long ago. He could feel the static around him. Hungry, eager, ready to be contained. He started to pull it in. The pain was immediate and absolute, like swallowing fire, like drowning in acid. The static flooded into him, filling every space, every crack, every corner of his being. Harry screamed. Ron screamed too, feeling his connection to the static severing. And outside, through the layers of void, Harry heard Wanda scream his name. Then she was there, not outside the static, inside it, with him. "Wanda! How?" "Shut up." Her voice was ragged. Her face was streaked with blood and tears. "You don't get to sacrifice yourself alone. That trope is overdone. You can't be here. The static will consume you too." "No, it won't. Because we're going to share it." She grabbed his free hand. "Order and chaos. Remember, the vessel has to be both. Has to be us. Wanda, I didn't burn through reality to find you in the abyss just to watch you die. I didn't fight my way through that sitcom prison just to lose you now." Her eyes blazed with red light. "We do this together, or we don't do it at all." Harry looked at her. At this impossible woman who had barged into his life and changed everything. "If we do this, we'll be bound together. Forever. There's no going back." "I know. You'll be carrying part of the static inside you for eternity. So will you. At least we'll have company." Harry laughed. It was slightly hysterical. "You're insane." "So are you. That's why this works." She was right. Of course she was right. Harry stopped fighting. He let the static flow into him. And he let Wanda flow into him too. Her chaos magic intertwining with his death energy, her essence merging with his essence. It was intimate in a way nothing had ever been before. He could feel her thoughts, her memories, her fears and hopes and dreams. Could feel her feeling his in return. They were becoming something new, something that had never existed before. And between them, compressed by the force of their combined power, the static began to shrink. It fought. God, how it fought! It clawed and screamed and raged against its containment. But it couldn't escape. Order and chaos working in harmony created a prison it couldn't break. Smaller and smaller the static became, from a demon to a monster to a creature to a thing to a speck, until finally it was nothing but a book. A small black book, resting in Harry's palm. The cover was blank. The pages were empty. But Harry could feel the weight of it. The vast, terrible power compressed into this tiny vessel. And he could feel Wanda, connected to him forever now, sharing the burden. "We did it," she breathed. "We did it." Ron collapsed beside them. The void around them was dissolving, replaced by something that might have been real space. "Is it over?" Ron's voice was weak, human. Harry looked at his friend, at the guilt and grief and hope warring on his face. "It's over. The static is contained. And me. What happens to me?" Harry didn't have an answer. He looked at Wanda. "That depends on you," she said. "The static's influence is gone. You're yourself again. But you still did terrible things. You still betrayed your friend. You still almost destroyed the multiverse." Ron flinched. I know what I did." "So the question is, what do you do now? Do you spend the rest of your life trying to make amends? Or do you give up and let guilt consume you?" Ron was quiet for a long moment. "I don't deserve forgiveness," he said finally. "Maybe not. But that's not really the point, is it?" Harry reached out, put a hand on Ron's shoulder. "You're my friend. That doesn't change because you made a mistake." This was more than a mistake. Yes, it was. But we've all done terrible things. We've all made choices we regret. Harry's voice was soft. "The question is whether you let those choices define you forever, or whether you choose to be better." Ron looked up at him. His eyes were wet. "How can you still care about me? After everything? Because that's what friends do. We don't give up on each other. Even when it hurts." Ron broke. He sobbed like a child, great heaving gasps that shook his whole body. Harry held him. Wanda stood watch, her eyes scanning the reforming reality around them. Eventually, the sobs subsided. "I'm sorry," Ron whispered. "I'm so sorry. I know it's okay." "It's not okay. It'll never be okay. Maybe not, but it can be better. It can always be better. The graveyard of stories was gone. They stood now in a space between spaces, a formless void that was slowly filling with light and color and substance. The multiverse rebuilding itself from the damage the static had caused. Harry looked at the book in his hand. The contained essence of narrative collapse. The weight of it was immense, but with Wanda sharing the burden, it was bearable. What do we do with it? She asked. We'll keep it. Forever make sure it never escapes again? And if it does, Harry met her eyes, felt their connection humming between them, order and chaos intertwined. Then we'll contain it again. Together. Wanda smiled. It was tired and bloody and beautiful. Together, she agreed. A doorway opened in front of them, golden light spilling through, offering a path back to somewhere real. Harry looked at Ron. Can you walk? I think so. Ron struggled to his feet, swayed, steadied himself. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. Somewhere you can heal. Harry started toward the doorway. And then we figure out what comes next. I don't deserve to be saved, Ron said quietly. Harry stopped, turned back. Maybe not, but you're being saved anyway. That's how it works. He held out his hand. Come on, let's go home. Ron looked at the offered hand, at the friend he'd betrayed, at the forgiveness he didn't deserve. He took it. Together, the three of them walked through the doorway. Behind them, the space between spaces continued to heal. The multiverse was rebuilding. The stories were continuing. And somewhere, deep in the black book cradled in Harry's other hand, the static slept, waiting. But for now, for this moment, the story had a happy ending, or at least an ending that was good enough. 3 weeks later, Harry still wasn't used to the silence. Not actual silence. The cabin in the pocket dimension was full of sounds. Rain on the roof, wind in the trees, the crackle of the fire Wanda insisted on keeping lit even when it wasn't cold. Normal sounds. Real sounds. The silence was inside his head. For centuries, Harry had heard the hum of the multiverse. The whisper of infinite stories playing out across infinite realities. A constant background noise that he'd stopped noticing until it was gone. Now there was just his own thoughts, his own uncertainty, his own wonderfully, terrifyingly limited perspective. He sat on the porch of the cabin, a cup of tea cooling in his hands, watching the sun set over a forest that existed only because he'd imagined it into being. The sky was turning orange and pink and purple, colors bleeding into each other like a watercolor painting. Beautiful. And he hadn't known it would be beautiful until he saw it. That was the strange part. The wonderful part. Every moment was a surprise now. Every sunset, every conversation. Every cup of tea that tasted slightly different from the last one. Harry Potter, former story walker, was learning how to be a person again. The cabin door opened behind him. Wanda stepped out, 2 plates balanced in her hands. Dinner, she said. And before you ask, no, I didn't burn it this time. Harry smiled. 3rd time's the charm. 4th. We're not counting the pancake incident. The pancake incident was a fire hazard. It was one small flame. The ceiling still has scorch marks. Wanda sat down beside him and handed over a plate. Pasta with some kind of red sauce. It smelled good. Whether it would taste good was still an open question. Harry took a bite. Not bad. Actually pretty decent. You're improving, he said. I've been practicing while you mope on the porch. I'm not moping. I'm contemplating. You've been contemplating for 3 hours. It's a beautiful sunset. Wanda looked at the sky. The colors were deepening now. Orange fading to red, purple darkening toward black. It is, she agreed. Did you make it? Not consciously. The pocket dimension just generates what feels right. Harry took another bite of pasta. I think it's responding to my mood. Your mood is sunsets, my mood is uncertain, transitional. Like the moment between day and night. Wanda was quiet for a moment. They ate in comfortable silence, watching the light fade. How's the book? She asked eventually. Harry's free hand moved unconsciously to his chest, where a small lump rested under his shirt. The black book, that contained static, hung on a chain around his neck. He could feel its weight constantly. A reminder of what they'd done, what they'd become. Quiet. For now. He could sense the static inside sleeping fitfully. It dreams, I think. Nightmares of the stories it consumed. Sometimes I can feel echoes of them. Does it hurt? No. Just heavy. Like carrying a stone in your pocket that keeps getting bigger. Wanda's hand found his. Her touch was warm. Through their bond, he felt a pulse of her own awareness of the static. Her share of the burden, intertwined with his. "We're in this together," she said. "I know. I do." Harry squeezed her hand. It helps. Having someone to share it with. They finished their dinner as the last light faded from the sky. Stars began to appear, unfamiliar constellations in an invented heaven. "I should check on Ron," Harry said. Wanda's expression flickered. "How is he?" "Healing, slowly. The timeline I found for him has a good support system. People who understand trauma. Who won't judge him for what he did. Will he be okay?" Harry considered the question. Really considered it, the way he had to now, without the certainty of narrative omniscience. "I don't know," he admitted. "He's broken. What the static did to him, what he did while under its influence, that's not something you just get over. It'll take years. Maybe a lifetime. But he's trying. He's trying. That's all any of us can do." Wanda leaned against his shoulder. Harry put his arm around her. They sat there in the darkness. Two impossible people in an impossible place, holding each other against the vastness of the multiverse. "I miss being sure," Harry said quietly. "Sure of what?" "Everything. Anything." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I spent centuries knowing exactly how every story would end. I could see the patterns, predict the outcomes, understand the shape of reality itself. And now you're like the rest of us. Now I'm lost. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if we made the right choice. I don't even know if the static is really contained, or if it's just waiting for the right moment to escape." Wanda pulled back slightly, looked at his face in the starlight. "Do you regret it? Giving up your powers?" Harry thought about it. The silence inside his head. The uncertainty that followed him everywhere. The fear that crept in during quiet moments, whispering that he'd made a terrible mistake. "No," he said finally. "I don't regret it. I don't know how to be this person yet. The person who doesn't know. You learn, day by day, moment by moment." Wanda's voice was soft. "That's what the rest of us do. We stumble through life making guesses and hoping we're right. That sounds terrifying. It is. But it's also beautiful. The not knowing. The uncertainty." She touched his face. "Every moment is a surprise. Every choice matters because you can't see the outcome. Every person you meet could change your life in ways you never expected." Harry leaned into her touch. "When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You were just too busy being omniscient to notice." He laughed. A real laugh this time. "Fair point." They went inside as the night grew cold. The cabin was small but comfortable. A living room with a fireplace. A kitchen that Wanda had claimed as her domain. A bedroom they shared without ever explicitly deciding to. The fire was still burning. Harry fed it another log and watched the flames dance. "I've been thinking," Wanda said from the kitchen. She was making tea, a ritual they'd developed over the past few weeks. "About what?" "About what comes next. After we're done hiding here. After we're ready to face the multiverse again." Harry turned to look at her. "And the static consumed a lot of stories. A lot of timelines. People died, worlds ended." Wanda poured hot water into 2 cups. "Someone should try to help the survivors. The ones who lost everything. You want to be that someone?" "I want us to be that someone." She brought the tea over and handed him a cup. "We have power, knowledge, experience. We could use it to help people instead of just watching from a distance." Harry considered this. The idea of actively interfering in other timelines, of trying to fix what the static had broken. "That's a big responsibility," he said. "I know. We could make things worse. Without my Storywalker abilities, I can't see the consequences of our actions anymore." "I know that too. So why do you want to do it?" Wanda sat down beside him on the worn couch. The fire crackled. Tea steamed between them. "Because I'm tired of being a weapon," she said. "I'm tired of my power only being used for destruction. I want to build something, help someone, make something good out of all this chaos." Harry looked at her. This woman who had lost everything and kept fighting. Who had been manipulated and betrayed and broken and still chose hope over despair. "You're remarkable," he said. "I'm human, or close enough." Wanda smiled slightly. "That's the point. We're both human now. Flawed and uncertain and fumbling through life like everyone else. Might as well fumble towards something worthwhile." Harry drank his tea, thought about her words. For centuries he'd stood apart from the stories of the multiverse, watching, editing, never fully participating. He'd told himself it was necessary, that someone had to maintain the narrative balance, that getting involved would only cause more harm. But maybe that had just been fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of caring too much, fear of being hurt by the stories he'd worked so hard to stay outside of. "Okay," he said. Wanda blinked. Okay. Let's do it. Let's help people. Let's fumble towards something worthwhile." Her face lit up. Actually lit up. Joy breaking through the wariness and grief that had become her default expression. "Really? Really? But not yet. Not until we're ready." Harry set down his tea. "We still need time. Time to heal. Time to figure out how our bond works. Time to understand what we've become." "How much time?" "I don't know. That's the point. I can't see the timeline anymore. We just have to trust that we'll know when we're ready." Wanda nodded slowly. "I can work with that." "Good, because that's all I've got." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The fire burned low. The tea grew cold. "Harry." Wanda's voice was soft. "Yes, thank you for not giving up on me. Back in that cabin in the rain when you first found me, I was ready to destroy myself. To destroy everything, and you stopped me." "I didn't stop you.
I just gave you another option."
"Same thing." She leaned against him. "I don't know where I'd be if you hadn't shown up. Probably dead, or worse. Probably." Harry put his arm around her. "But you're not dead. You're here. With me. With you." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning neither of them was ready to fully acknowledge. "I should go to bed," Wanda said eventually. "Early start tomorrow." "What's happening tomorrow?" "Nothing. I just want to get up early and watch the sunrise." She stood and stretched. "You should come. It might be beautiful. Or it might be ugly. That's the fun part. Not knowing." She walked toward the bedroom, stopped at the door. "Harry." "Yes. I'm glad you found me. Across all the timelines and possibilities and stories. I'm glad it was you." Harry's chest tightened. "I'm glad it was you too." Wanda smiled and disappeared into the bedroom. Harry stayed by the fire for a while longer, thinking, remembering, trying not to feel too much at once. Eventually, he followed her to bed. The sunrise was beautiful. Harry hadn't expected it to be. He'd expected clouds or rain, or just a slow brightening of the sky. Instead, the pocket dimension gifted them with a spectacular display. Gold and rose and amber spilling across the horizon, painting the trees in the cabin, and everything in sight with warm, forgiving light. Wanda stood on the porch, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, watching with an expression Harry couldn't quite read. "You were right," he said, handing her a cup of coffee he'd managed to make without incident. "I'm often right. About what specifically? The not knowing. It makes things more beautiful, more meaningful." Harry looked at the sky. "If I'd known this sunrise was coming, it would have just been another sunrise. But because I didn't know, because it surprised me, it feels like a gift." Wanda sipped her coffee. "That's very poetic for someone who claims to hate poetry. I never said I hate poetry. I said I hate purple prose. There's a difference. I's there, yes. Poetry can be simple, direct. I wandered lonely as a cloud isn't purple prose. It's just honest. Wanda turned to look at him. You've changed. Have I? The Harry I met 3 weeks ago would never have quoted Wordsworth. The Harry you met 3 weeks ago was trying very hard to be impressive, to seem in control, to hide how terrified he was of everything falling apart. Harry met her eyes. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of performing. I just want to be me. Whatever that means now. Wanda reached out, took his free hand. I like this version of you, she said. Even without the god powers. Especially without the god powers. She squeezed his hand. The god version was impressive. But this version is real. This version makes mistakes and admits them. This version burns toast and doesn't know how the story ends. This version is someone I could actually love. The word hung between them, love. Neither of them had said it out loud before. Harry's heart was racing. He could feel Wanda's pulse through their bond, matching his beat for beat. Wanda, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know. No, Harry took a breath. I'm not good at this. Feelings, vulnerability. For centuries, I kept everyone at a distance because I was afraid of what would happen if I let them in. And now I'm more afraid of losing you than I am of being hurt. He turned to face her fully. I don't know what love is supposed to feel like. But I know that when I'm with you, the silence in my head doesn't feel so empty. I know that when you smile, something in my chest gets tight in a way that isn't painful. I know that I want to wake up next to you every morning and watch sunrises I didn't predict and burn toast I didn't know was going to burn. Wanda was crying, silently, tears tracking down her cheeks. That sounds a lot like love to me, she said. Then maybe that's what it is. She kissed him. It wasn't their first kiss. That had happened a few nights ago, hesitant and uncertain, both of them pulling back almost immediately. This was different. This was a decision, a commitment. Harry kissed her back, and for a long moment, nothing else existed. Not the multiverse. Not the static sleeping in its prison against his chest. Not the uncertainty of the future or the weight of the past. Just them? Just this. Just now. When they finally broke apart, both of them were breathing hard. Well, Wanda said, that was Wes. It was? We should probably talk about what this means. Probably. But not right now. Agreed. They stood on the porch holding each other, watching the sunrise complete its transformation of the sky. It was, Harry decided, the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen, and he hadn't known it was coming. That made it perfect. The days blurred together after that, not in a bad way, in the way that happy times always seem to move faster than sad ones. Harry and Wanda fell into a routine. Mornings spent watching the sky. Afternoons spent exploring the pocket dimension, discovering corners neither of them had imagined into being. Evenings spent cooking increasingly ambitious meals, most of which turned out edible. And nights spent together, learning each other's rhythms, building a language of touches and silences and shared understanding. It was, Harry realized one morning, the closest thing to domestic bliss he'd experienced since his original life. Since Ginny and the kids and the normal, mortal existence he'd left behind when he became the story walker. He'd forgotten how good ordinary could feel. You're thinking too loud, Wanda murmured from beside him. The morning light was filtering through the bedroom curtains, painting everything in soft gold. Sorry, didn't mean to wake you. You didn't wake me. Your brain did. I can feel it churning through our bond. Harry winced. That must be annoying. It's not. Wanda rolled over to face him. Her hair was a mess, her eyes still heavy with sleep. Beautiful. I like knowing you're there. Even when you're overthinking. I'm always overthinking. I know. It's endearing. Harry reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face. I was thinking about how happy I am, and how strange that feels. Strange good or strange bad. Strange unfamiliar. I've been so many things over the centuries. Powerful. Feared. Respected. Lonely. He paused. But I don't think I've been happy. Not really. Not for a very long time. Wanda's expression softened. You deserve to be happy. Do I? I've done terrible things. Let terrible things happen because I was too afraid to interfere. Everyone's done terrible things. That's part of being alive. She took his hand. The question isn't whether you deserve happiness. The question is whether you're willing to accept it. Harry considered this. The guilt he carried. The weight of centuries of mistakes and missed opportunities. The voice in his head that whispered he didn't deserve peace. I'm trying, he said finally. That's the best I can do? Then that's enough. She kissed him gently and got out of bed. Breakfast. I'm thinking eggs, real eggs this time. Not the disaster from last week. The disaster from last week gave us both food poisoning. Hence the real eggs. Harry laughed and followed her to the kitchen. He was trying on happiness. Wearing it like a coat that didn't quite fit yet. But with every passing day, it felt a little more natural. Maybe that was enough. Ron came to visit. Harry had given him access to the pocket dimension weeks ago, a magical connection that would let Ron find them if he needed to. But Ron hadn't used it until now. He looked better. Not good, but better. Some color had returned to his face. The haunted look in his eyes had faded to something more like wariness. He was wearing Muggle clothes, jeans and a jumper that had seen better days. Harry. His voice was rough, uncertain. Wanda? Ron? Harry stepped forward. Stopped. Didn't know what to do with his hands. How are you? Alive. Which is more than I deserve. Don't say that. It's true. Ron's jaw tightened. I almost destroyed everything. Everyone I would have if you hadn't stopped me. The static would have. Not you. Same thing. I let it in. I chose to listen. Ron looked at the ground. I've been going to therapy. Can you believe it? Ron Weasley in therapy. Hermione would have laughed herself sick. The mention of Hermione hung in the air. Harry didn't know what to say. Do you want to come inside? Wanda asked, breaking the silence. I made tea. You made tea. Ron looked skeptical. Harry told me about your cooking. My cooking has improved significantly. Has it? No, Harry admitted. But her tea is acceptable. Wanda glared at him. Ron almost smiled. They went inside. The conversation was awkward at first, stilted, full of pauses and avoided topics, but slowly, gradually it found its rhythm. Ron talked about the timeline Harry had placed him in. A quiet world. Mostly Muggle where magic existed but was rare and hidden. He'd found work at a bookshop, made a few friends. Started sleeping through the night again. I still have nightmares, he said, about what I did, about Hermione, about the static whispering in my head. He stared at his tea. But they're getting better. Less frequent. Less loud! That's good, Harry said. That's progress. Is it? Sometimes I feel like I'm just pretending, like I'm playing the role of someone who's healing. But inside I'm still broken. Wanda spoke up. That's what healing is, at first. You fake it until it becomes real. You practice being okay until one day you realize you actually are. Ron looked at her. How do you know? Because I've done it. After Westview. After everything I destroyed. Her voice was steady, but Harry could feel the effort behind it through their bond. I didn't think I could ever be normal again. Be happy again. But I kept going through the motions, and eventually the motions became real. Ron was quiet for a long moment. I'm sorry, he said, for what I did, for trying to kill Harry, for everything. I know you are. Does knowing make it better? No. But it makes it easier to move forward. Ron nodded slowly. He turned to Harry. Can you ever forgive me? Harry had thought about this question a lot over the past few weeks. The answer had changed a dozen times. I already have, he said finally. But that doesn't mean things are the same between us. They can't be. Not after what happened. Ron flinched. I understand. But it also doesn't mean we can't build something new. Different, but maybe better. Harry leaned forward. You were my best friend for a reason, Ron. That reason didn't disappear just because you made a terrible choice while under the influence of an eldritch horror. When you put it that way, it sounds almost reasonable. Nothing about any of this is reasonable. We're just doing our best. Ron laughed. It was small and broken, but it was real. Yeah. I suppose we are. He stayed for dinner. Wanda's pasta, which had improved significantly over the past weeks. They talked about small things. Normal things. The weather in Ron's new world. The books he was reading. The neighbor who kept asking him out. She's nice, Ron said. Pretty. Kind. But I'm not ready. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. Give it time, Wanda said. There's no rush. That's what my therapist says. Your therapist sounds smart. She's terrifying, actually. Sees right through all my defenses, Ron shuddered. Reminds me of McGonagall. Harry snorted. That's probably why she's effective. After dinner, Ron stood to leave. He paused at the door. Thank you, both of you, for not giving up on me. Never, Harry said. That's what makes you different from me. I gave up. On myself, on everything. And you still, Ron's voice caught. You still believed I could come back. You did come back. That's what matters. Ron nodded, wiped his eyes, stepped through the portal back to his world. Harry closed the connection behind him and stood there for a moment, feeling the weight of everything that had passed between them. You okay? Wanda asked from behind him. I think so. Or I will be. Harry turned to face her. He's going to make it. I couldn't see it before with my powers. But I can feel it now. He's going to be okay. How do you know? I don't. Not for certain. Harry smiled. But I believe it, and sometimes belief is enough. It happened on an ordinary morning. Harry was making tea. Wanda was reading a book by the fire. Rain tapped against the windows. Everything was quiet and peaceful and unremarkable. Harry reached for a cup. His hand slipped. The cup fell. It happened in slow motion, or maybe that's just how Harry remembered it later. The cup tumbling through the air. The inevitability of its trajectory. The moment of impact as it struck the floor and shattered into a dozen pieces. Harry stared at the broken cup. He hadn't known it was going to happen. He hadn't seen it coming. He hadn't predicted the fall, or calculated the trajectory, or understood the pattern of events that led to this moment. He just dropped it, like a normal person, like someone who made mistakes without seeing them coming. Harry started to laugh. It bubbled up from somewhere deep inside him. Not a chuckle or a snort, but a real laugh, the kind that takes over your whole body and doesn't let go. Wanda looked up from her book. What happened? I dropped a cup. Harry was laughing so hard tears were streaming down his face. I dropped a cup and I didn't know I was going to drop it. That's funny. It's hilarious. It's the funniest thing that's happened to me in centuries. Harry sank down to the floor beside the broken pieces, still laughing. I used to be able to see every moment coming. Every stumble, every mistake, every accident. And now I just drop things, like a person, like a real, actual person. Wanda set down her book and came to sit beside him on the floor. You're crying, she observed. I'm happy. I didn't know I could be this happy. Harry wiped his eyes. Is this what it's like? Living without knowing what comes next. This is what it's like. Messy and surprising and full of broken cups. It's wonderful. It is. Wanda took his hand. Welcome to mortality, Harry Potter. It's about time you joined the rest of us. Harry looked at the broken cup, at Wanda's hand in his, at the rain on the windows and the fire in the hearth and the ordinary, extraordinary moment he was living. I've been afraid of this for so long, he said quietly. Afraid of not knowing. Afraid of being surprised. Afraid of making mistakes I couldn't predict or prevent. And now I realize the fear was worse than the reality. Harry squeezed her hand. The uncertainty isn't a curse. It's a gift. It means every moment matters. Every choice means something. Every day is a story that hasn't been written yet. Wanda smiled. That's very philosophical for someone sitting on the floor surrounded by broken pottery. I contain multitudes. You contain a lot of something. I'm not sure it's multitudes. Harry laughed again, lighter this time. He stood up and helped Wanda to her feet. Leave the cup, he said. I'll clean it up later. You're going to step on it and cut yourself. Probably. That's part of the adventure. Wanda rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. You're ridiculous. I'm in love. Same thing. He kissed her. She kissed him back. The broken cup lay forgotten on the floor. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Inside, two people who had been gods learned what it meant to be human. It was, they both agreed, a pretty good trade. That night, Harry found himself on the porch again. The rain had stopped. Stars filled the sky, still unfamiliar, still beautiful. The black book hung against his chest, the static sleeping within, dreams of consumed stories flickering at the edges of his awareness. Wanda came out to join him, wrapping a blanket around both their shoulders. You're thinking again, she said. I'd have always thinking. What about this time? Harry looked at the stars, took a breath, about what comes next. We've been hiding here for weeks now. Healing, learning how to be us. But we can't stay forever. No, we can't. You said you wanted to help people, the survivors of the Statix attacks, the ones who lost their worlds. I did say that. Wanda leaned against him. I still want it. So do I. Harry reached into his pocket and pulled out a small notebook he'd been keeping. I've been making a list. Timelines that were damaged but not destroyed. People who need help rebuilding. Places where our particular skills might make a difference. Wanda took the notebook, flipped through the pages. Her expression grew thoughtful. This is a lot of work. Maybe decades. Maybe longer. And we'd be doing it together. Together. Always together. Harry turned to face her. That's the deal, right? Order and chaos. We're bound now. Wherever you go, I go. Whatever you face, I face with you. Wanda closed the notebook. You know this could go wrong. Without your story walker powers, we can't predict the consequences of our actions. We might make things worse instead of better. I know. And you want to do it anyway. I want to try. I want to stop standing on the sidelines, watching stories unfold without participating. I want to make mistakes and learn from them. I want to help people even if I can't guarantee success. Wanda was quiet for a long moment. Harry waited, his heart pounding. Okay, she said finally. Okay, let's do it. Let's go help people. She smiled. Let's write a new story together. Harry pulled her close, held her tight. I love you, he said. I love you too. They stood there on the porch, wrapped in each other and in the blanket and in the promise of an uncertain future. Wanda, Harry said after a while. Yes, what happens now? Wanda looked up at him. Her eyes were bright with starlight and possibility. I have no idea, she smiled. Isn't that beautiful? Harry thought about all the stories he'd read, all the endings he'd known before they happened, all the certainties that had once defined his existence. And then he thought about this moment. This woman, this chance to live without knowing what came next. Yes, he said, it really is. On the table inside, a blank book lay open. Not the black book that contained the static. A different one. White pages, unmarked, waiting to be filled. Harry had found it in the pocket dimension a few days ago. He didn't know where it came from or why it had appeared. Maybe the dimension had created it. Maybe the multiverse was giving him a gift. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Or maybe some stories write themselves into existence when they're ready to be told. Harry picked up the book as they went back inside, looked at the empty pages. Should we write something? Wanda asked. I don't know what to write. I've never written a story before. Only read them. Then don't write a story. Write a list. Or a letter. Or just the first thing that comes to mind. Harry thought about it. Then he picked up a pen and wrote 2 words on the first page. Shiaptron. He looked at what he'd written. At the beginning of something new. At the first step of a journey he couldn't see the end of. Chapter 1. Wanda read over his shoulder. Off what? Harry set down the pen. I don't know yet. But I think we'll figure it out as we go. He closed the book. Set it on the shelf beside the fireplace. Tomorrow, they would start planning, start preparing, start building a new life of purpose and meaning and uncertain hope. But tonight they had this, each other, the warmth of the fire, the peace of not knowing. Harry pulled Wanda onto the couch beside him. She curled against his chest, her chaos magic humming in harmony with the steady beat of his heart. "Good night, Harry," she murmured. "Good night, Wanda." The fire crackled. The stars wheeled overhead. The static slept in its prison, dreaming of stories it would never consume. And in a cabin in a pocket dimension at the edge of reality, 2 broken people held each other close and waited for the dawn. The story wasn't over. But for now, for this moment, it was exactly where it needed to be. Not an ending. A beginning. The first page of something beautiful and uncertain and wonderfully, terrifyingly unwritten.